He earned himself the nickname the Tiger for his sheer efficiency and the way he used to pounce upon the mistakes of defenders. But at Man United, he was way more pussycat than Tiger, to be honest. All he managed in 29 Man United games was 4 goals. Moving on, things couldn't have gone much worse for Jadon Sancho at Man United. Yeah, it would have been hard to outdo his Borussia Dortmund form, but 12 goals in 83 games is not great. Things got worse after a public fallout with manager Erik ten Hag. Sancho said he was being made a scapegoat. Ten Hag said there'd been a discipline issue. It all ended up with Sancho going back to Germany. Next, Erik ten Hag probably thought he was being smart in sticking to what he knew when he signed Antony from his former club Ajax. But the £86 million Brazilian hasn't really been able to hack it in the Prem. Chances are Antony's Man United days are numbered. Next, the curse of the Man United number 7 shirt. Not an easy act following Ronaldo, Cantona, Beckham and George Best, but Memphis Depay was another striker who was apparently allergic to scoring for United. He scored just 7 in 53 appearances, a huge letdown since he'd helped PSV win the Dutch league just a season before joining. Last one, Angel Di Maria was set to be United's landmark signing when he joined in 2014, but one season later he was already on his way out. 4 goals in 32 games was just not good enough, given he'd broken the British record transfer fee when he signed. And those are just a few examples. To be honest, the list could go on and on. Unfortunately, that's probably why Man United haven't won the Prem for a while, and why it might take a few more years before they're in contention again.
This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Shebahn Aherne alongside former Chelsea and Republic of Ireland striker Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Let's get stuck in because Liverpool are back to winning ways against Aston Villa yesterday.
Here's Gravenberch into the penalty area, deflected it in. Ryan Gravenberch returns with a goal, and it's the second one of the night for Liverpool.
2-0 it finished live for you here on talkSPORT last night. Manchester United fought back to rescue a point against Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest 2, Manchester United 2, all square again. What a goal. Ahmed Diallo has struck sensationally home to equalise for Manchester United.
The United strand and his hair lives to see another day. And was anyone really surprised that Chelsea beat Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
What on earth are Tottenham doing at the back?
There we go, lovely.
An absolute shambles.
3-point lane. Call it what you like.
Jamie O'Hara losing his marbles live on air last night. Get involved with us this morning, Spurs fans. 03717 22 3344. Spurs being Spursy, or were Chelsea just better? We'll look back on all of yesterday's action and look ahead to today's 3 Premier League matches. All coming up for you on the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT.
Nottingham Forest 0, Manchester United 1, but it's hugely controversial because it's come from a corner that Forest think should not have been awarded.
Burnley 0, Arsenal 2, and it's Declan Rice with the header.
It's all that Arsenal deserve, I have to say. They've been so in command in this game, and they deserve to be 2 goals up.
Fulham 3, Wolves 0. More misery for the visitors. Mosquera with an own goal.
Far too easy. Brighton 3, Leeds 0. Diego Gomez with his second of the afternoon.
It's unbelievable. It's Nottingham Forest 2, Manchester United 1. Savannah arriving from close range to score. Unbelievable turnaround.
Crystal Palace 2, Brentford 0. The hosts doubled their advantage, and guess what? It's from a long throw-in. It's an own goal in the end.
Nottingham Forest 2, Manchester United 2, all square again. What a goal. Ahmed Diallo.
Given away, Mo Salah! This time he'll count. This time Liverpool have the lead. It's his 250th goal for Liverpool.
Caicedo down the middle, he squares it to Pedro, it's 1-0 to Chelsea, and Pedro wheels away in celebration.
And it's 3 points that lifts them up to third in the table. Crisis, what crisis, you may say.
So that's how yesterday sounded for you here on the talkSPORT network. Today you've got West Ham against Newcastle at 2 o'clock. Man City take on Bournemouth at 4:30. And tomorrow, Monday Night Football, 8 o'clock for you here on talkSPORT. Sunderland take on Everton. Good morning, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
How was your day yesterday?
Well, it was, I tell you what, I did watch, Shebahn. I did laugh. I watched the Rugby League, England against Australia, before the football started, for about 30 minutes. And in a minute and a half of the game, there was 3 players sin-binned.
Wild.
A minute and a half, and it was like, because I do find Rugby League intriguing. It's just nuts. They're just
chaos. But I kind of find it refreshing at the same time.
It's a complete contrast to what you see in football, where you lift your arm and you get a booking, or you could get sent off, and you're watching Rugby League. Wow.
Jamie and I had watched a bit of the rugby yesterday as well, and then you're looking at these guys absolutely rip each other apart, and then you look at McAllister yesterday, getting his hat. Somebody put his hand on his neck and he hits the ground like he's been taken out. I'm like, oh, God.
I honestly, Shebahn, sometimes I get embarrassed about playing football. When I've met people from other sports, especially rugby, and I've met them and they look at you with a bit of contempt, as like, oh, you footballers are completely different now, Should
we start a little feature, like our little weekly...
soft football?
Yeah, like handbags.
Is football soft?
talkSPORT's handbag of the week. Or is that offensive? Would they be offended by that? We can't say handbags anymore. Really? Why? See, even that is pathetic. How can we not say handbags anymore? That's exactly what it is.
Well,
can't say handbags.
Shebahn Brazil.
Seriously? What is the...
Well, look.
Me and Jamie would have been cancelled in our house last night then. Jeez.
But I did really enjoy the rugby league for a period, not because of people getting sent off, just the physicality of the game, which
it's gone, man.
Yeah, we have gone way too far. We have. It is.
I want to apologise to Alexis McAllister if he's offended by my outburst this morning. I hope he can pick himself back up and be all right. Let's focus on yesterday's results cast. Brighton beat Leeds 3-0 comfortably yesterday. Burnley lost to Arsenal 2-0. Palace beat Brentford 2-0. Fulham beat Wolves 3-0. We'll go there in just a second. Forest and Manchester United was 2-2. Man United rescuing a point. Spurs beaten by Chelsea 1-0, and Liverpool beat Aston Villa 2-0 in the late game last night. Let's go to Wolves, shall we? A beleaguered Wolves cast. Still no wins. Drubbed by Fulham yesterday. Vitor Pereira, is his future really in question here?
Yeah. I was at his first game when he took charge of Wolves when they played Spurs away last season, and they were terrific in a 2-2 draw. I'm sure it was his first game, but it was very early on in his tenure. And I saw a lot of good things in that opening game about Wolves and how he sort of orchestrated. He made changes from the bench and they made a difference. Well, it's complete opposite now, Shebahn. There's so many things that are going wrong. You can tell when a club are in trouble, when they have an early sending off, players are arguing, mistakes, passing, and just too many errors happening in the game, week in, week out. And then you see a centre forward who was obviously being touted by Newcastle, and Strand Larsen, anonymous. And by the way, it's not just on him that they're creating absolutely nothing for him. And he's probably thinking, what am I doing still here? Too many things. And then there's Pereira, who is watching his team just capitulate so easily, be beaten so easy, but it's part on him as well, because even when he's speaking now, and I know I said yesterday about whatever you say when you're losing games doesn't wash with anybody, but he's in serious trouble as a manager.
Yeah, after their 3-0 defeat, he did tell talkSPORT he will continue to fight on.
I'm a fighter, I'm a fighter. I never give up. I'm not this kind of person. I will try my best the next training, and to mentally to recover the team, to tactically to recover the organization that we need for the next game.
Cass, I mean, you look at their midweek performance, you know, coming back and really showing some grit and determination against Chelsea. Okay, they ended up being beaten in the end, but they didn't give up that night.
No.
Were they battered yesterday? Were they just exhausted?
Well, yes, yesterday was a hard one. And by the way, I'll go back to midweek because I didn't say anything about it yesterday. Jose Sarr, the goalkeeper, they lost the game because of him. Now, so I always say be careful of making scapegoats, but boy, did he play a part in midweek against Chelsea with 2 unbelievably terrible decisions. You know, passing in ridiculous areas of the pitch. It cost Wolves dearly. They could have beaten Chelsea in midweek in that cup tie. They had every opportunity. And yesterday, you didn't see any of that. But Sarr's a problem for them as well. I'm not a fan of Jose Sarr as a goalkeeper. I think he just takes them decisions that when you're in trouble, don't ask for more trouble.
Yeah. He was arguing with fans as well.
Well, he's going to argue because they're going crazy about him. You know, fans do. I've had fans had a go at me, and you take it on the chin and you try and give your absolute all. But what you don't want to do is make really terrible decisions in a game.
Do you get the sense that Wolves are good enough to stay up?
Well, they showed last year they were. You know, they haven't invested like they used to, but they still got enough in there to get results. Not to be, Shebahn, as we stand today, 10 games gone, 2 points. You know, 2 points through 10 games, and they've conceded 22 goals and scored 7. And, you know, every metric you look at with Wolves is wrong. I mean, yesterday watching them, I'm laughing at some of the attempted passes I'm seeing, where if they lose the ball, they're totally in trouble.
Yeah, I know. But they've lost Cunha and Nori. They were brilliant for them. And, you know,
Cunha's, because, well, both of them. Cunha was a massive loss for Wolves because he was inspirational for them. But they still shouldn't be as bad as they've been. And I understand that, you know, listening to the manager, and he's not going to throw in the towel. Absolutely not. And his next port of call is Monday training, trying to get a result at the next game. But as I'm standing, you know, sitting here today looking at the table, I'm thinking, Wolves fans, there's too many things that are going wrong. I talked about sending offs. I'm talking about arguing. I'm talking about, you know, we don't even know what's going on at the training ground. You know, this is what we're seeing is just after a reaction of a game.
Yeah. Also, you've got to look at the next fixtures as well. Chelsea, Palace, Villa. It's a tough run ahead of them. Their manager just signed a new contract. Is it too soon for Wolves to make the change?
Well, clubs do decisions that we sometimes think we try and look for reasons why they won't get sacked as well. And because he signed a new contract, football doesn't work that way. Football never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah. Let's talk about Liverpool.
Yeah.
Were you amazed yesterday against Villa?
Well, again, you know, this individual error thing, you know, Martinez thinking he can play a precise pass that ends up setting up. He could have an assist for Mo Salah, Martinez, you know, on that goal. And once Liverpool's, because they had a couple of chances, Villa, with Morgan Rogers hit the post, and they had a couple of breaks that you could see Liverpool were a little bit at sea. And then once the goal went in, Liverpool started to get a bit more momentum, a bit more confidence. Liverpool have kept a clean sheet, which I've said many a times on the show that Liverpool are not capable of keeping many clean sheets. They're just not. Their goal against column tells you that. And just look at the results they've had this year. It was a big result for them because Liverpool have not been good. It was better, especially in the second half. Gravenberch coming back was a big plus. But yeah, they're still not Liverpool or what we'd expect, but it was a big result for them.
Absolutely. Good to see Arne Slot happy again. Chelsea got a big win over Spurs. We'll get into all of yesterday's action very, very soon. Wolves fans, we're opening the phone lines for you now. 03717 223344 is the number. Pick up the phone, give us a call. What has to happen next? Do you trust that Vitor Pereira is the man to turn it around? Or do the club now have to make a change? 03717 223344 81089 is the text number. And coming up for you next on Weekend Sports Breakfast, we'll have a look at some of the big stories in the Championship yesterday. Morning.
Nelly?
Yes, like that. Is that your vibe?
Yeah, it was a classic, wasn't it?
It was a great song. Oh, good morning. You're listening to the Weekend Sports Breakfast.
Only your kids can dance to this, you can't.
No, kids weren't even near the scene then. Mama can shake it to this, you know. This is an absolute classic.
Yeah, it is a classic song.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely loved it. Nelly, hot in here. Happy birthday, Nelly. Guess how old he is today?
Oh.
It's a good one.
48.
Miles off it.
Really?
Higher.
No.
Higher.
Oh, well, is he nearly as old as me?
No.
He ain't that old. 55.
He's 51.
Oh, that's not miles off.
No, I know you're not, but I expected him to be so much younger. It feels like yesterday
I know.
That song was like 23 years ago.
For a Williams, you'd expect, you'd think he's not younger, but he's quite old, isn't he?
Unbelievably well. Yeah.
He does look after himself.
Absolutely. I mean, Nelly, he had some great songs actually back in
Who was the one he collaborated with?
Kelly Rowland.
That's it.
Yeah. No matter what.
Yeah.
You're like Kelly and I'm like Nelly. Should be the other way around, but it's not. Happy
Smelly and Belly.
Wait a minute, which one am I? Seriously, which one am I? Smelly or Belly?
I'll be Smelly. Smelly and Belly.
I think I'd rather be smelly than belly. Working really hard on my running right now.
I'll have to think of another word, not smelly.
Fat shaming this morning, and it's only 6:20. Good morning, it's Weekend Sports Breakfast. It's Shebahn and Tony Cascarino with you. It was another busy day in the Championship yesterday, and we had you covered as ever here on talkSPORT.
Well, getting down the right wing, they could get a cross in to score a second. They have scored a second. Blackburn Rovers 2 up, and that game looks dead and buried.
Absolute demolition job here for Stoke City. Stoke 5, Bristol City 1. I mean, to be honest, the game was won by half-time. But this is a damaging defeat for them. Their run of 3 successive victories comes to an end. Stoke have got back-to-back wins for the first time since August, and they're now up to 3rd. Stoke City 5, Bristol City 1.
Carlton Morris is taking it. He is on a hat-trick here and stutters the run and buries it into the bottom corner in front of the ecstatic away fans. Sheffield United 1, Derby 3. So Sheffield United stay 3rd bottom, and it's a 3rd successive win for Derby County.
Oh yeah, interesting all day in the champ. Tough times for some of the big clubs as well, Cass. I mean, Southampton beaten again by Preston while still under pressure. Leicester beaten by Blackburn 2-0. Norwich also beaten at home by Hull 2-0. So
by the way,
yeah.
Norwich played 6 at home, lost 6. I mean,
hard place for them to go.
That is, just 4 goals for. The Norwich fans have seen 4 goals at Carrow Road. They've seen a lot from the opposition.
23rd on the table.
Yeah.
Liam Manning is getting a lot of heat after that performance yesterday. Got to be under pressure.
Yeah, he will be.
Huge pressure.
Well, when you lose, and when you're second from bottom in the Championship and you've lost a lot of home games and you haven't seen many goals, or not just the goals, but the performance levels. And I mean, I've always liked the lad Josh Sargent, who plays from up front, who scored goals early on the season, got goals last year. And there was rumours he could have gone in the summer. Look, you're not going to survive. You can't survive because, to have no home victories through 6 games, 6 straight defeats. I mean, Southampton are not much better. They've had 1 home victory under Will Steele, who has had 1 home victory and 3 draws and 2 losses at home. But them just above the relegation, these are clubs with, good revenue that come into them.
You were talking about Liam Manning having so many similarities to Russell Martin.
Yeah. Well, I saw the Bristol City team that Liam Manning had, and I watched them a few times last year, and they overplayed, I felt, a bit too much. Now, that was his style, and he got them very close to going up. But when they played Sheffield United in the 2 legs, they lost 3-0, 3-0 to Sheffield United. I watched both games. It was just too easy for Sheffield United. And I thought, if some amazement they'd won the second leg by 4, I would have gone, there's just no way they could survive with the group of players they got and the football they were trying to attempt. Just didn't have enough quality. Now, I don't watch Norwich every week, so I can't answer. A Norwich fan would have to tell me what brand of football are you playing. But I would imagine, because Liam Manning's Bristol City were a very much possession-based, play everywhere, out from the back, dangerous areas, that was their ambition of how they wanted to play.
And the players that he's got aren't good enough.
Well, they obviously the numbers
play that style.
Well, no, they
simplify it more.
Well, maybe they might not have bought into it. But if you see the second goal yesterday, Shane Duffy, who's an experienced pro, I mean, the closing down for that second goal was non-existent. It's like literally jogging out to a player to stop it, and eventually the whole City player just has the time to just pick his spot, score. You know, it wasn't a point of urgency to get and stop players crossing balls, make it difficult, pressing them. There was none of that on show.
Yeah, another loss for Southampton as well. Will still under a bit of pressure too. I mean, good news for Javi Garcia. I mean, what a difference he's making at Watford. They beat Middlesbrough 3-0 yesterday. Stoke beat Bristol City 5-1. Big one from Mark Robbins' side. And Sheffield United beaten by Derby 3-1. You just look at those big clubs, as you mentioned there, Cass. Southampton, Sheffield United, Norwich, all 21st, 22nd and 23rd in the table. So tough times.
Yeah, it's the Championship never ceases to amaze me of how difficult it is.
Awful.
You know, you can have clubs that have previous season were flying, and then suddenly for small issues, I mean, Sheffield United, and you see the goals they conceded, they're individual mistakes all over. You can compound that with, you know, if you like I spoke about Norwich, where the way they play, but if you make individual mistakes, the same as what we saw with Wolves, making mistakes that gives Fulham chances to score goals. Sheffield United, Chrissy Wilder would have said exactly that yesterday. We've given them the game by the mistakes, individual mistakes.
Yeah. Bit of a shocker, to be fair. We'll keep you posted on all your Championship action here on talkSPORT. And here's what's coming up for you on talkSPORT today. 9 o'clock this morning, as ever, is Sean Custis and Henry Winter with the Sunday edition going all through the newspapers today. And then it's the warm-up with Max and Barry at 11 o'clock, 1:30. Game Day Live is back with you, with Hugh Woozencroft, bringing you all of the goals as they go in from the Prem and beyond. And at 6:30, the final word is here with Alan Pardew and Majestic. They're also going to have the action between Manchester City and Bournemouth to keep you posted on if you're out and about as well. And then Trans Euro Express at 9 o'clock with Danny Kelly to see you through your Sunday evening. You've got another cracker coming up here on talkSPORT. What is it you're going to say?
I keep thinking of another Nelly Belly.
Go on then.
No, I haven't come.
Smelly, Bailey,
Welly.
Yeah. It doesn't get better then. Eat some welly hen. Coming up next, we'll get into Wolves' defeat to Fulham with talkSPORT commentator James Fielden. He was there. Wolves fans, give us a call, 03717 22 3344. Good morning. Good morning, you're listening to the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. We're live on your smart TV. We're on the YouTube channel if you want to watch along this morning. It's Nelly and Bailey with you. Shebahn Aherne Tony Cascarino. Hope you're having a good Sunday so far. Some of your other headlines. Liverpool's Mo Salah recorded his 250th goal for the club yesterday in the 2-0 win against Aston Villa. Only the third Reds player to reach that figure behind Ian Rush and Roger Hunt. That's similar. Yeah. Thank you, Martinez. Thank you so much. You must have said. That's really kind. And also Amad Diallo's late goal secured a 2-2 draw for Manchester United away at Nottingham Forest. It marked 1 full year since Ruben Amorim was appointed as the Manchester United boss. Happy for him. Here he is after the game, reflecting on that time.
Of course, the results commands a lot of things, our feeling, and especially the feelings of our fans. But you can understand that everything that we try to do, we warned the fans, and we took the difficult decisions, and that is something that they know since first day, that I was not here to save myself or to win some time. I was here to try to improve the club with a lot of people, and I feel that we are doing that. But the potential that I see in our club, and we have so much to do. It's going to be tough, but it's the best challenge that I could have, and I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, that's good. That's nice to hear. I mean, it takes time, doesn't it? It takes time to be able to have the change that you want to make, and you know.
Yeah, a lot of times you don't get it.
Absolutely, but it shows that it takes it. You know,
yeah.
That's a year now.
Well, there's always going to be an example, Shebahn, of someone. You know, Areola at Bournemouth started with what? Literally, when his first 8-10 games, couldn't get hardly a win. He didn't have a win in his first 10 games. And the club stuck by him, but obviously they'd seen improvement. This has been a lot longer, hasn't it, for Amorim? Yeah. And being at a bigger club is more pressure. You have to succeed, and it has to come quickly. Yeah. If you join Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, you know, some of the big Italian clubs, you're expected to win pretty much from the start. You know, PSG would be the same in France. You know, okay, they dominate the league. But generally, the very biggest clubs, you won't get a year. Sure. You just won't.
Look at Mikel Arteta. I mean, Arsenal fans will know off the top of their head, but I mean, it did take time. And I remember there was a long period when Arteta was there. There was campaigns on social media to get him out of the club. You know, it took a long time for him to implement the change.
It's been a slow burner for Mikel.
It really has.
It has. I mean, Unai Emery had, I felt, a very good first season with Arsenal. But by the second season, you just went on that bad run, you lost your job. Mm-hmm. That's top flight football, or the biggest clubs around. That's what happens. Arteta's under serious pressure this year to win the league. He's expected to win the league. Now he started off like they have, like a train. You know, if they don't win the league, of course he won't survive. That's just the nature of the beast.
You genuinely, even if he finished second again, that would be
that he's basically, and don't get me wrong, I think the achievement this year is building a squad to win the league, which they have quite clearly. I personally think they, you know, people will say, oh, by March and April, you'll see the real Arsenal, and I've heard this mentioned by numerous people, that they'll collapse. They won't. They'll win the league before then. I don't think it'll go that far.
Really?
I think they'll win the league comfortably. I do. Every week goes by, I sort of feel like, what reasons can I think of that Arsenal won't win the league? It's nothing to do with squad depth. They've got a January window that if they needed something, they'll go and do it. They've got players in every position doubled up. They don't concede goals. They score goals. Teams can't even create against them. What evidence can someone tell me where they're going to win the league at the moment? I know it's through, we're through 10 games. But we're not far off a third of the season.
Is it mentality?
They've got 2 London derbies. They've got Spurs and Chelsea coming up, which normally you'd go, cool, they are. They're tough encounters for them. But if they come out of them with decent results,
that's it.
I just couldn't see them falling apart.
Yeah.
I don't see them falling apart now. So
no, that's it for me. I think they'll win the league. I do.
And it's by how many? It's not, I just don't see. I think there's other problems at other clubs. Like Man City are dropping points. We've seen Liverpool drop points in certain ways that I just don't see that in Arsenal at the moment.
Let's go to Sean Dyche in Nottingham Forest yesterday against Manchester United, getting that 2-2 draw. There's lots in the back pages today reflecting on that corner, which led to United's first goal. Him saying that ball is out. How did the referee seem to see 70 yards? Has he got a case here?
Well, it is marginal, isn't it? Let's put it in perspective.
Millimetres.
We're talking a very small distance of. Yes, it looks like it's slightly on. Now, the debate comes more with VAR again, where should have that been, obviously chalked off because that should have been spotted. Frustration from Sean Dyche is it's happened literally back to back, hasn't it, with 2 games? That a decision that he felt has really hindered them of getting a chance of, a point or 3. So that's compounded it for him, hasn't it?
Yeah, but when you do look at the picture, it looks like the whole circumference of the ball is not out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, in the end...
Cool. It is, look, these fine lines of... I know, are we going to have... Okay, we're going to have a VAR on the byline or are we going to have every line on the pitch, are we going to have VAR on?
He's right to feel hard done by.
Yes, absolutely.
But if you're relying on that...
Yeah, then there's a point, to a point, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I said, before we chatted on air, there is goal line technology.
Yeah.
Do we want in football technology on every line on the pitch?
I mean, as Sean Dyche has pointed out, what is VAR for if it can't address that? If it's going to lead to a goal, why can it not address that as well? But, here we are, what's done is done. The only thing is, I think then any team having to rely on that, shows it.
See, goal line technology, we know, don't we? We know immediately if it's a goal or not. Okay? So the referee can indicate. But would we want that technology everywhere on the pitch? Cool, that would feel long, wouldn't it?
Be hard work.
That would be hard work.
Really hard work, isn't it?
That would really hurt the game.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, for Nottingham Forest fans and Sean Dyche, the manager, it's, the smallest of errors because it is such a small distance.
Absolutely. Let's focus again on Wolves. Vitor Pereira coming under huge pressure. Still no win in the Premier League this season. They're rock bottom. We can speak now to talkSPORT commentator and Wolves fan James Field. And James, good morning. It's tough old times, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not great to be a Wolves fan right now, but they've had it coming for a while. So they're in a bit of a situation, and it's looking going to be tricky to get out of it, I think.
James, I was mentioning midweek against Chelsea where I felt, Jose Sarr had made a couple of really terrible decisions and ricks that you could have beaten Chelsea in the Cup. Now, is that the common theme of Wolves this season? Because you would have seen them numerous times. So tell us, because it's not just about yesterday's result. Yesterday was full of errors and, the typical things that happen when a team are in trouble. You can get a sending off, you can make mistakes, players are arguing, then you've got to manage a defend. All these things happen, don't they?
Yeah, and I think the Burnley game last weekend it felt like one of those end of era games to me. It's one of those matches where, you've clawed yourself back from 2-0 down. And then you lose it in the, whatever minute, 94th minute of added time, I think it was. Players are then going into the South Bank, remonstrating with the fans. The manager's going in, gestures are being exchanged. And it just felt like that was the end of the line for me. And I was up there last week and I was fully expecting there to be a statement the next day, but it didn't come. And then you roll forward 7 days and you're kind of back there again. Man gets sent off. Can't be any complaints with it. And you slide to a team who I think they lost 4 in a row, or they're certainly on a bad run anyway. Yeah. So it feels and has felt now for a number of weeks like you know, it's the end of the line for Vitor Pereira, and the last 2 games, the fans have turned on him, and it feels, for me at least, like the direction of travel is irreversible now.
So do you think there's going to be an announcement this morning, possibly?
I don't know that. The thing is, everyone wants him to succeed, right? No one dislikes Vitor Pereira as a man or a manager, but the only way that things are going to change now, and the only way they're going to stay up, is by changing the manager, because there's nothing else they can do, right?
Yeah.
They've signed their players, which many of whom he wanted. They did miss out on some targets in the summer. He's got a sporting director alongside him who's an ally. He wasn't brought in by the sporting director. He came in after him. And the players, you know, clearly not being able to perform. Yesterday, you know, Wolves, as they are at the moment, there's only a few players who are kind of the first names on the team sheet, right? Andre and Joao Gomez, who could play far higher up the league in those 2 centre mid positions, both Brazil internationals, and he leaves them on the bench. Andre, in that Burnley game last week, got subbed off. I can't remember how long into the second half it was, but went straight down the tunnel, went for a shower, and came back 20 minutes later. And there's been beef between those 2 already this season, and then leaves out Joao Gomez as well, who's his captain. Yeah, I mean, he's throwing a lot of mud at the wall now and trying to find what's going to stick. And at the moment, nothing's sticking for him. So it's hard to see this recovering now, really.
You know, you lost Ant Nouri and you lost Konya. You kept Strand Larsen, who, you know, had his head turned, certainly. Watching him yesterday was a bit difficult, as in you're watching a forward being isolated and not creating too much for him. But it feels like there's been so much that's going on. The Victor Pereira that I first saw at Wolves that came in initially made a dramatic impact, didn't he, at Wolverhampton Wanderers to keep you up?
Yeah, but, you know, and it goes back to the whole thing about him kind of drinking in the pubs and all that kind of thing. Like, you know, what you try, it's fine going in and doing that in the first 2 weeks of being manager and kind of saying, look, we're all in this together. Here I am. I'm one of you. But then kind of carried on doing it. And we're like, manager, what are you doing? Like, managers don't do this. You don't need to be in Wetherspoons drinking Stella at 7 o'clock after a game to prove yourself. Just get the results, go back home, do what you've got to do, and we'll see you again next week. But
was he buying the drinks? Or were the
he was at first, wasn't he? Maybe he stopped buying the drinks. James got a problem with it.
By the sound of things, people wouldn't stop buying drinks for him, so they're probably not helping him either, to be honest. But
oh, we'll wait and see what happens, James. But we feel your frustration. talkSPORT had you yesterday at Selhurst Park watching the Palace game, beating Brentford 2-0. How did you see that one?
Yeah, it was a game really didn't have too much in it. And I spoke to Keith Andrews afterwards, and he felt that he was kind of on the wrong side of small margins, really. And there wasn't a huge amount in the game. Palace were the better team, but Brentford really, really sloppy. You know, I live in London, so I do a lot of Brentford games, and they're always normally pretty sharp with their passing, very savvy as a team, but way off it yesterday. Lots of sloppy passing, giving the ball away a lot. And Igor Thiago, like you were just mentioning with Strand Larsen, was really isolated yesterday. Couldn't really get him in the game at all. And yeah, I think they just had to chalk it off as a bad day at the office. They'd obviously been on a good run. I think they'd won 4 in 5 before that, so I don't think they'll be too concerned. And Andrews has kind of really established himself now as someone who was really due that job, I think, if you speak to people at Brentford, and the results are obviously showing it in recent weeks. So yeah, bad day at the office for them, but Palace will be happy. And that Mateta header was absolutely superb, so they'll be delighted.
What about, James, the header before the Mateta header? That was it Lerma? Who headed it back. That was some leap. It was like watching 2 great headers in one moment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lerma's headers at the far post, and then, thank you very much, Mateta, another great header top corner.
Yeah, I find Mateta's resurgence incredible, to be honest, because I remember when he came in on loan from Mainz, and you know, he was just a perennial bench player, couldn't really get a kick as a starter, and there's so much credit to him because he's really pushed on, and Lerma as well, who took the throw for the own goal scored by Collins. Yeah. And it's one of those weird ones, because if Collins doesn't touch it and it goes straight in, the goal's ruled out.
I know.
You know, it's the old Enkelman one, isn't it, from back in the day?
Nathan Collins is a really good, solid Premier League defender. But boy, every now and again he throws in a howler game. You know, he just does. You know, he did it with Ireland. You know, he's had them against Armenia. One of them games, you just can't imagine a really, you know, respected 6, 7 out of 10 every week defender. But that one game, and that was yesterday for him because he made a number of mistakes in the game, didn't he?
Could have been 2-0 down soon after he conceded the own goal as well. But it's funny because he was a former Wolves player, and he moved in successive seasons for about 20 million each time. Stoke to Burnley, Burnley to Wolves, Burnley to Brentford. Wolves to Brentford, and he'd had an okay season at Wolves, and then Brentford suddenly come in with 20 million, and you're thinking as a fan, oh, hang on a sec, we think he's okay, but if Brentford are putting 20 million down for him, then he's probably better than we're thinking he is. But by and large, he's been a good acquisition for them. So good luck to him.
Well, James, thank you so much for your time this morning, and we'll see what happens, if anything, from Wolves this morning or tomorrow. James Fielding, our commentator and Wolves fan, thank you so much.
Cheers, James.
Cheers.
I love how much you love a header.
You love a header?
No, you love a header.
Absolutely. Yeah, no.
Did you see how quickly his head turned there? You love a header?
No, I talk at length for
your favourite header of all time.
Well, there's no other sport that you use apart from mentally that you use your head as a, like legs and arms in other sports.
Did you have a favourite header? Do you have a personal favourite header?
My favourite headers are the far posts, hanging up at the far post and pinging them back in the top corner the other way. I love that. Got a few of them in my career. Loved it. It was like, it was me Alan Shearer fist up, running.
Felt good.
Yeah, got one against England, one in,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Use your neck.
Yeah.
Your neck muscles. Really. Mick McCarthy could head a ball like some people kick it.
Really?
I used to train with Mick. Well, we used to do set pieces with Ireland. Mick's heading ability was ridiculous.
Really?
Oh, he literally, ping it like someone was shooting.
Yeah, see, when I see a ball coming at me, I'm like,
Yeah.
Where'd you run out the head first? Right, coming up next on Weekend Breakfast, we'll get into today's Sunday newspaper back pages. Morning. Morning. Welcome to the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Is Shebahn Aherne and former Marseille striker Tony Cascarino. Some of your headlines this morning. Kylian Mbappe scored twice as Real Madrid opened up a 7-point lead in La Liga with a comfortable win over Valencia at the Santiago Bernabeu. Chelsea manager Sonia Bonpastor says goalkeeper Hannah Hampton has shown class in response to Mary Earps' comments about her. Right, see, in my world, this is crazy. This is crazy. See, if you love your women's football, this is just box office. Sonia Bonpastor criticised a lack of respect for England manager Serena Wiegman by Mary Earps. Earps questioned her decision to make Hannah Hampton her number one at Euro 2025, and then Mary retired. Mary's written her book. Madness. And also goals from Victor Gyökeres and Declan Rice led Arsenal to a 2-0 win at Turf Moor against Burnley. Another clean sheet for the league leaders. And head coach Mikel Arteta after the game admits he is proud of his team's defensive record.
Yes, for sure, because it's extremely difficult to do it, and especially in this league. But we need to maintain it. We need to recognize the things that we're doing so well to get to this point and to improve it still. And if we do that, I think we can do better.
Looking good is Arsenal. Cass, doesn't seem to be any stopping them at the moment.
No, frighteningly good at stopping the opposition, which is a big part of football.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that really well and you've got weapons going forward, like I said earlier, I forget the running, there won't be one.
Yeah, no, you just mentioned it, to be fair. Sam Stevens is here for a look at today's back pages. Good morning, Sam.
Yes, good morning. And you were saying, Cass, earlier about where you placed Declan Rice in your top midfielders in the Premier League.
Yeah. Well, I think, if you said to me the best three I could think of would be Gravenberch at Liverpool, Caicedo and Rice. They would be my best three at the moment.
In that order?
Well, Rice's numbers are extraordinary, you know. So Caicedo probably number one, Rice number two, even though Rice's numbers are better. I think Caicedo, and again, yesterday was phenomenal alongside with James and what's his name? Fernandes at Chelsea. They were great. Rodri would be in there. But Rodri's had such a terrible injury. But my three at the moment would be Gravenberch, Caicedo and Rice. Best three. I mean, look, there's a lot of others. Elliot Anderson, you might go, or someone, you know, the boys at Newcastle, Tonali and Ramirez. There's loads of options in.
Yeah, the midfielders are decent.
There's a lot of good, really good ones.
You can let us know your favourites actually this morning, 81089 best midfielders.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, lots of Arsenal on the back pages, as well as lots of England rugby on the back pages as well. Shebahn, England 25, Australia 7 yesterday. Boss Steve Borthwick hailed Henry Pollock for sparking, I should say, a second half blitz against Oz. Back row Pollock 20 was part of Borthwick's bomb squad of Lions who came off the bench as Red Rose skipper Maro Itoje lifted the Ella Mobs trophy. And Pollock's stunning try helped turn a 3-point lead into a big win. Lots of love for Henry Pollock yesterday.
Oh my God, I think he's absolutely sensational, and he's only young. And it's funny because the kind of footballisms come into rugby when it comes to Henry Pollock. You know, when there's like a young superstar bursting through at England and then they pin him up and then they tear him down at the same time. That kind of happens to Henry Pollock. A lot of people don't take to him because he's from the generation now where he enjoys a bit of social media. He dyes his hair peroxide blonde. That's up for criticism as well. But yesterday he was absolutely sparkling. To get that try that he got, his first at Twickenham, you could see how much it means to him. He's the future of England rugby, and he deserves that moment. You know, there's been a lot of love for him in the papers today, and it's good to see that instead of what happened even during the Lions tour and stuff. There's always people there trying to tear him down, you know, saying he's there for the cameras, he's there for the show. It's like, let the guy enjoy himself. He's a young guy playing for England. Shut up.
Yeah, Australia not in the best place at the moment, but a good win for England nonetheless. Let's talk about West Ham, Cass. Playing a big game today out there against Newcastle, huge. And Tony Cottee, one of the legends of the club, has been speaking out in the Sun this morning, saying he understands why the club's stars would want out. Lucas Paquetá eyeing a January exit. Jared Bowen could be a target for top clubs. Cottee fears the Hammers are heading for relegation from the Premier League following a catalogue of disasters. He told The Sun, the players I feel sorry for most are Bowen and Paquetá. I read the Paquetá story about him reportedly wanting out in January. I honestly don't blame him. It goes into a bit of detail about the recent run of the club and the trouble that the club is finding itself in at the moment. Question I have for you, Cass, is obviously the futures of the likes of Bowen and Paquetá will come into question if the club are going to go down, but would you not fear for them even longer term beyond that if they do end up losing the few assets they have at the club?
Well, the biggest asset they'll lose is their fan base, because their fan base are clearly unhappy with the owners. And that will come into play because they're not happy of what's gone on at their football club, even with success with under David Moyes, that they've not been happy from day one with the owners. And then that is not going to change. Even if West Ham improve and do things in a better way, I just feel like it's a losing battle. But Tony Cotty's had his own run-ins with the club owners. You know, I know Tony well. I do stuff with him every now and again, and he's upset about how his club's being run.
Yeah, for sure.
And he because he's a fan himself, and he understands that. You know, one thing he's made a big point of, which is true, players want out when they see the club is.
Yeah.
You know, no, wasn't so long ago, Paqueta was wanting to stay, was delighted to stay. We're only a few months in, and now he wants to go in January.
Yeah.
That didn't last long, did it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a big game for them today, isn't it, against Newcastle? And just lastly, there's a really interesting article. Jonathan Northcroft has done an interview with Robin van Persie, which is in the Sunday Times this morning, talking about his managerial career at Feyenoord. And interestingly, Van Persie he spent a bit of time studying Pep Guardiola while he was a youth coach. And he said that his key principle is that everyone, young and old, player or staff, should have development urgency, which is a term I quite like. It's sort of like, you know, get to the top as quickly as you possibly can. Don't have any hesitation about, you know, being slow to the uptake. You've got to try and be the best you could possibly be every day in order to be, you know, to try and get to the best you can be as early in your career as possible in order that you're not wasting any time in your career.
Yeah.
Like a philosophy, that, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's on the headline on there, Sam. It does say that, you know, it must be fun, football.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really valid point, because if you're going to love something and want to do it for a long time, you want it to be make fun. That doesn't mean that you go out and do things wrong. It means, like, enjoy what you're doing. There's a learning curve. Many of us in football, one of the reasons why I say 80s and 90s football, I feel I played in a great era, was because it was fun as well. Even the relationships with the fans. And just a different dynamic.
It's funny, Cash, you mentioned that, because you even go to grassroots now. Sometimes the fun is stripped out. They're just looking for the next hot ticket and who is the best. And the kids are so, you know, everything's so strict. And it's like, no, sport's meant to be fun.
Yeah.
You know, okay, as you get to the elite level, it gets far more serious and there's so much more expected of you. But is that not the point, to have fun? Is that not been stripped out of a lot of sports now?
I think there's a fair point, because if you go, and when I first joined Gillingham in 1981 as a kid, I remember, because I didn't go through the academy. I wasn't an academy there. It was just like the youngsters would get pro contracts. And a lot of them were unhappy. I know they were on the fine line of being accepted or not, but I remember thinking, I'm playing football. I didn't care about anything else. I was just happy that I was playing football.
Yeah.
No more. Didn't care about cars or, you know, what I was getting paid. I really didn't care. I just kept thinking, my job is to go in for 10:30 for training, train, finish, go home and play football.
Yeah.
I think the competitiveness of academies doesn't help as well, does it? You know, getting players in at such an early age now, it's like you've got to get them to the top level and not worry so much about having a bit of fun.
Sam, they're hearing from not only from the coaches but from their parents the whole time.
Absolutely.
Is that you have to be so driven to make it. Yeah. That can wear off by the time of teenagers, and you know it's a difficult one.
Yeah, so go back to Van Persie's point. Development urgency obviously very important, but not at the sacrifice of having some fun as well.
We need to do some of that, actually. Some developmental urgency. Sam, thank you very much. That was a look at today's back pages. Coming up next, we'll discuss Rangers ahead of the semi-final against Celtic today, and also Liverpool as they get back to winning ways in the Premier League. Good morning. It's Weekend Breakfast here on talkSPORT.
Shin pads are a footballer's best friend, even if players like Jack Grealish do wear such small ones you can barely even see them. But what's the story with shin pads, and are there any rules on how big they should be? It all started with cricket, actually. Cricketers had been wearing shin pads since the 1700s. They'd been introduced not for leg protection, but instead to give batters a strategic advantage. The idea was that batters could put their leg pads in front of the wicket if they missed the ball, preventing them from being bowled out. Obviously, that all changed when the LBW rule came in, but that was the theory behind them. It was thanks to this guy that shin protection made its way over to football. Meet Samuel Widdowson. He was a cricketer and a footballer. He played for Nottingham Forest back in the late 1800s, and he wanted a way to protect his legs from nasty tackles. Apparently, he'd broken his leg in a match against Sheffield United in 1874 and wanted to stop it from happening again. Naturally, his mind drifted to his other favourite sport, where players had been wearing these pads. Story goes, Widdowson cut up his cricket pads, sewed them into his socks and popped them on before taking to the footy pitch. Ta-da! Shin pads. Like all great genius inventors, everyone took the mickey at first. To be fair, he probably looked quite stupid running around with these on. But it's thought his whole Nottingham Forest team then began wearing them from 1887, and the first known use of them in a match was in 1894, in a match between Newcastle and the then Woolwich Arsenal. Eventually, FIFA clocked on that this protection was pretty important for footballers. Multiple studies have shown wearing shin pads clearly reduces the risk of players getting lower leg injuries. And so in 1990, basically 100 years after Widdowson first put them on, shin pads were made compulsory. It became a part of Law 4 of IFAB. That's the body responsible for setting the laws of the game internationally. But the law doesn't actually specify anything about measurements of shin pads. It just says pads must be made of a suitable material and be of an appropriate size to provide reasonable protection. It's really vague, and players can get away with a lot. A lot of grassroots clubs are choosing to ban micro shin pads for obvious reasons though, especially after a 15-year-old player from Penistone Church broke his leg while wearing them. Still no change from IFAB though. That's why Grealish and co can still get away with these ones, which are no bigger than a credit card and which seem to offer little to no protection whatsoever.
Good morning, you're listening to the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Shebahn Aherne and former Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Lots coming up for you in the next hour. Liverpool back to winning ways against Aston Villa.
Here's Gravenberch edge of the penalty area, deflected it in. Ryan Gravenberch returns with a goal, and it's the second one of the night for Liverpool.
Yeah, finished 2-0 live for you here on talkSPORT last night. Was anyone really surprised that Chelsea beat Spurs at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
What on earth are Tottenham doing at the back?
There we go, lovely.
An absolute shambles.
3-point lane. Call it what you like.
Jamie O'Hara had an amazing epic breakdown live on air. We'll get more of that a little bit later. And twisting and turning in his sleep. Were you the same, Spurs fans? And also Wolves' miserable run continues. Are they destined for the drop this season?
2 months ago they sing my name, and I know that if we win the next 2 or 3 games, everything changes.
Were you one of those Wolves fans chanting sacked in the morning yesterday against Fulham 81089, and the number is 03717 22 3344. You're listening to the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Oh, shouldn't the place up. Okay, Cass, what do you want to do? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I don't know. I thought you was talking Liverpool again. You're non-stop talking about Liverpool.
Well, I love Liverpool.
You're avoiding Man United.
Yeah. What do you mean avoiding? Rescued a point.
Got a good point yesterday.
I take it. Do you know what? I was actually really okay with that one. Okay, I'll take a point instead of a win, because with the win comes more pressure. I'll just steady with the point. That's fine. Is that wrong? Is that the wrong answer?
I think most Man United would have loved to have had another win on them. Notch another one up.
Yeah.
Because there has been a change, and they have played way better, and they look far more of a team now than they did. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Whatever we say, we've talked about teams being poor. We've talked about teams in the Championship from Southampton to Norwich, and then we talked about Wolves. By the way, Wolves kit, that doesn't feel like a Wolves kit. Is it me? Am I showing my age and kits?
No, it's fine.
It just feels like that is not a design of a Wolves kit for me.
I mean, on the subject of Liverpool, I sometimes still feel it very strange when in the green.
Yeah.
Is that okay to say? Is that offensive?
Yeah. Well, no, it's not offensive. It's just, look, we all have debates about kits and ones we love and we don't. There's some great kit designs that are out there, but the Wolves one feels like it's more like a training kit before they play the match and change.
Add into their woes, Cass. Add into it. It can get any worse. That gets a shambles as well.
By the way, can I mention Mo Salah?
Yes, let's talk about Liverpool.
Can I just make a mention on Mo Salah and his 250th goal? Because he's had a rough start to the season. He hasn't played. It's not only that Mo's missed his assists and goals, his performances have been nowhere near what we know he's capable of. Okay? Yesterday, that's Mo. Yesterday, I thought his performance, it wasn't just his goal, it was the way he played yesterday, which was much more, it was way improved. And for whatever reason he's been off, because sometimes it can be other issues, but whatever reason he's been off, yesterday was far closer. His touch, his urgency, his quick thinking, took his goal. I mean, even though Martinez passes it to him and he just pings it back straight in the back of the net, that's quite easy to miss that, in that sort of moment because he's not in good form.
Yeah.
But I thought yesterday was a big day for him, just on the way he played in the game.
Yeah, 250 goals now for Mo Salah. For Liverpool, absolutely brilliant. Now later on today from 2 o'clock, it's the latest instalment of the Old Firm. Celtic will take on Rangers in the Scottish League Cup this afternoon at Hampden Park in the semi-final. Martin O'Neill, of course, made a sensational return to management after Brendan Rodgers resigned as manager after the weekend's results. O'Neill prepares for his 28th Old Firm, but his first since 2005. Honestly, it's like we're rolling back the years. It's just so incredible. Danny Rowe is, of course, only 2 weeks in the Rangers job, but will be looking to make it 3 wins out of 3 against the Hoops this afternoon. For more on this, joining us now is a Rangers fan and podcaster, Adam Lovett. Good morning, Adam. How are you?
Adam.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Thanks, good.
Adam, come on. Now, there's been a bit of wind of change in Scotland, to say the least. I mean, with Celtic and your club, Rangers. Has there been a dramatic improvement immediately?
I think Rangers have been resilient. Cass is how I would describe us.
Yeah.
Against Hibs on Wednesday night, we played really well, actually. Defensively, we looked structured, we looked organised. Last weekend against Kilmarnock in Danny Rowe's first home game, I was there. It wasn't exciting, but we won the game. So there are signs that Rangers are getting there. We've won 2 games in a row for the first time all season.
Yeah.
You guys have discussed Russell Martin before. He was a disaster. So at least there's green shoots at Ibrox. And for Celtic, I mean, they beat Falkirk. They should have beaten Falkirk. And Martin O'Neill knows what he's doing. And what's really interesting, you guys talk about the experience that Martin O'Neill has in this game. He's double the age of Danny Rowe. I mean, it's such a difference between Rangers with a young 30-something and Celtic with a 70-year-old in charge of them. It's amazing how these two clubs have had so much change in the last couple of months.
Yeah. Well, look, if they're a good 30-odd-year-old and they're a good 70-year-old, there's no problem, Danny, is there? Just looking at that, them two perspectives of managers, they do their thing. And you've got to win over the fans at these two clubs. I played for Celtic and I didn't win over the fans and I suffered the consequences. And it's the same with Rangers.
Oh, massively. The Rangers fans are behind Danny Rowe, really behind him. I think because of what came before being so bad that they've bought into Danny Rowe. There's issues with the board. They want the chief executive gone. They want Kevin Thelwell gone, who's brought in some of the players that have not gone well. At Celtic, very similar. They want the chief executive gone. There's protests against Dermot Desmond, particularly after his statement against Rodgers. But I think Rangers fans are willing to give Danny Röhl a chance. We've been through so many managers, Cass. You know this. We've been through, honestly, Gerrard again on TV last night talking about how he was very close to coming back. It's a never-ending saga.
And how do you feel about the game then today, Adam? Because, I mean, Rangers against Celtic, as much as I hate to say it, it's not been bad for them over the last year.
I'm a feeling. I don't know if you can ever be confident going into this game. You can toss a coin on this. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to extra time. Rangers have been good against Celtic over the last 12 months, even though we seem to have a different manager every time we play Celtic. I think this is the fourth Old Firm game in a row that we've gone into with a different manager. So, I mean, it's hard to be confident, but I don't think Celtic will be confident either. I think it is very much literally a 50-50 split in terms of the crowd at Hampden, and both teams have got their problems. I think it's a nice escape. Hearts are doing so well in the league. I mean, they're 9 ahead of Celtic, they're 14 ahead of Rangers, that actually this gives both teams an opportunity to actually put something tangible in front of themselves for the season in terms of having a cup final in December. So, to answer your question, obviously Rangers are going to win, but it's going to be nervy.
You started at the beginning saying I'm not confident going into this. It's obviously.
I know, and then I reflected on your question, and then I thought to myself, the way you worded it, I had to tip Rangers, didn't I?
No, I like your style, Adam, but you're miles off it. Bless you.
What do you think is going to happen then? What's your prediction?
I'm confident for Celtic, honestly. I really am. I don't know if it is, as you mentioned there, the age difference, even though age doesn't really matter if you're good at your job. But Martin O'Neill's experience in this game and the fact that he is a legend, I think, is automatically just given that little bit of a boost. I think 4-0 against Falkirk midweek, even though no disrespect to Falkirk, we were expecting to win that game. But it was the, kind of on the front foot, confidence, seeing players attack again, even, Johnny Kenny getting a brace, that kind of stuff. I thought, okay, he's instantly come in and hopefully we'll bounce back. Obviously, I'm confident for Celtic, you're confident for Rangers. That's the way it should be, but you're dead right. I mean, there's a lot in this game, and then we know St Mirren's in the final, so automatically it's the chance for Rangers or Celtic to get their hands on a trophy.
Look,
isn't it? So
just Rangers and Celtic, I played in 2 Old Firm games, and one thing's for sure, it has to be a ding-dong, and it has to be both teams literally go for the jugular.
Yeah.
That's how they play. That's how Celtic and Rangers have to play in Scotland, and we've seen a little bit that's come away, especially for your club, Rangers, where you weren't playing under Russell Martin. You were playing a possession-based game, but not going for the jugular. But Celtic and Rangers is all about that.
Yeah.
It is all about it. And I do think that if you had Brendan Rodgers in charge of Celtic today, I would be very confident as a Rangers fan. I think O'Neill has an aura about him, which does create that anxiety as a Rangers fan, because he knows what he's doing. The Celtic fans are, to a man, completely behind Martin O'Neill. If he wins the game, I think he may well be given a contract till the end of the season. That wouldn't shock me, because it's going to be very hard to get rid of him ahead of a final in the middle of December. So from O'Neill's point of view, there's a lot at stake today. Danny Röhl, if Rangers lose, it's a short-term disaster. It's not going to put his job in jeopardy.
Yeah.
But I feel there's almost more on the line for O'Neill today because of his position at the club.
His
he's
legacy.
come in, he's won his first game, and kind of it gives him an opportunity to say, I could be here till May.
I know. Yeah, you make some very good points there, Adam. Listen, good luck. Enjoy the game.
Thank you.
Cheers,
so much
Adam.
for coming on with us. Rangers fan and podcaster Adam, love it there. Looking forward to this one this afternoon.
Yeah.
It's kids just let me know.
Celtic and Rangers has to be literally
You're right.
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, and Celtic they've been so disappointed against Rangers over the last year. It's not been what it should be.
Yeah,
it's not been the derby that we've wanted. Okay, you're listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Coming up next, we'll discuss Chelsea's 1-0 win against Spurs. Morning. morning. You're listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. If this doesn't get you in about a Sunday morning, like a rat up a drain pipe, I do not know what will. Good morning, Cascarino.
Tony.
It's Tony. This is Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
Yeah.
Why are we playing it? St Albans is trending this morning, Cass.
Why? Because you live there.
St Albans never trends, right? But it's trending this morning for all the reasons that you don't want. This is brilliant. 7th tier St Albans City yesterday. The mascot, Sammy the Saint, was ejected off the field after appearing absolutely lashed in the FA Cup tie against Burton yesterday. Here, there's a clip going around social media. Have a little listen to this if you can pick anything up. You're watching on the smart TV. You see him falling over the hoarding, stumbling. He decks himself about 3 times.
Sammy smashed.
Sammy the Saint. Poor Sammy the Sinner. Apparently he was put out of the ground and everything.
Right.
St Albans is trending because of the mascot. Love that. Fair play to you, Sammy. What you got to do? Any weird mascot stories in your play?
Not really. I mean,
well behaved.
We didn't really have the mascots like they do today. Yeah, it's obviously changed a hell of a lot. It was used to be just hold the hand, come out, and there'd only be one of them. Now you're seeing, when the teams are going out on the pitch now, every player's got a child with them.
Yeah, I mean,
all of them have to pay.
It's such a serious job as well, because if a child sees the mascot without the head on, it's like it takes away all the magic for them. But never seen Sammy.
No, I don't remember mascots playing any big part.
Out his nut.
Yeah.
Literally. Very funny though. Let's talk about Spurs yesterday, beaten by Chelsea 1-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A goal from João Pedro gave Chelsea their customary 3 points against an under-par Spurs, whose home form continues to be a massive problem. Spurs booed off by their fans as this result continues their dreadful home form, which has only seen them win 3 times in the last 10 months at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So after the game, Thomas Frank was asked about the lack of energy from his side.
No, it's not a worry now, but I think there's definitely something in that rotation freshness to that is, but no excuses, is just part of it. If you look into Chelsea's rotation over the last 4 games compared to us, then you probably can see a little bit of a difference. But that is what it is. Then I think tactically today, I think in our high pressure, I think they solved it better than us. And when we built up against their high pressure, we didn't solve it well enough. Of course, we worked on it. Unfortunately, on the day, that didn't work well.
Really poor performance, Cass.
Yeah.
One of the worst.
Well, there was an incident in the game that typified it all, and it was the goal. Because when Jed Spence lost the ball, Caicedo won it off him, and then the ball goes again. It gets won back by Spurs, and you've got Van der Ven and Simons, who are both too casual in the moment, and Caicedo wins it again. So in the space of seconds, they've won the ball twice, Chelsea, and from Jed Spence to Van der Ven to Simons, too casual. Caicedo's won it twice, then squares the ball, and then Pedro scores the goal. In that moment, that was the game, done and dusted.
I mean, they're missing key players, is Thomas Frank's side. They're missing Maddison, they're missing Dejan Kulusevski.
Yeah.
Important creative players for the side. But you mentioned there Van der Ven. I don't know if you've seen this video going around on social media. It's him and Jed Spence coming off the pitch, and they're walking past Thomas Frank, and he goes to shake their hands, and the two of them blank him. That's not a good look.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't know exactly what their point was, but from that video, you can clearly see that Thomas Frank looks as like, what? Like, what you doing? He's really uncertain about their reaction. Now, they could be angry over a decision because it's the end of the game, or the way they've lost the game. But these were the two that were involved in the incident that the goal was conceded. And Van der Ven and Spence have done really well in certainly months, last season. These are 2 important players for Spurs.
Sure.
So it was a really strange incident because the reaction of Thomas Frank is way different, where he's confused and feels like, why are they, ignoring me?
I mean, it doesn't look good to disrespect your manager like that. I mean, I was watching some of the match of the day clips, and Shearer was saying, I think there's going to be a lot made of this, but it's a case of the guys just want to get off the pitch, get into the tunnel. They've been beaten in a derby. It was a poor performance.
Yeah, I get all of that.
Get out there, and Thomas Frank wants to shake everyone's hands. They don't want to be there. But actually, I do think when you watch the clip, they're walking past him.
Yeah.
He's just putting his hand out for a high five. That's it, really.
Yeah, look, I understand all of what Alan Shearer means, and it's true that, after, because that's a long time after, the incident of which they were both involved in that conceded the goal. But I'm not okay. You can clearly see that Thomas Frank's not okay with that.
Yeah. Do you think he deserves an apology for that? Or
no, I think he'll just move on really quickly and dismiss it and say, it's not an issue. There's far bigger issues than that.
He was low-key about it, to be fair, in the press conference. Let's talk about Enzo Maresca, because that win puts Chelsea up to 4th. He was very happy with the side performance.
In any case, we are very happy with the performance, with the result, because in this moment of the season to come here against this team in this stadium, that they look very good, was very difficult. And we need a reaction after Sunderland, and I think Wednesday against the Wolves, and today we showed that.
Thoughts on that?
Thoughts on the game, Chelsea were comfortable winners.
Yeah.
You look at every metric and you can see that Chelsea dominated, had a number of chances, didn't take them. Neto caused them problems. The forward line of Pedro Neto and Garnacho. And then you can change it around a bit with Chelsea, because they can bring on players like Gittins that can come on. The midfield of Chelsea is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It just is, and then Reece James went in there yesterday alongside Fernandes, and obviously, Caicedo is a top defender. He just wins the ball for fun, keeps getting the ball back, and like he did for the goal. I said last week, there's a lot right at Chelsea. They're just missing that little bit of.
Is it the age, the experience?
Well, it is to me. I do feel, and we spoke to Scott Minto about it yesterday, and saying it just feels that what is missing with Chelsea, because there's quite clearly an unbelievable midfield. I'd say it's hard to find a better midfield three that have so much. I think other clubs have got more all around, like Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal got a great midfield as well, and Liverpool had last season. But I don't think Liverpool's midfield is quite as good as Chelsea's.
Yeah.
So, look, they're not missing much, but I've had that conversation now for nearly 9 months.
Yeah.
I've been saying that they're so close to having a really good side.
Yeah.
And I do think the experience side of it, bringing in players that have been there, done it, would certainly add to Chelsea.
So Chelsea up to 5th in the Premier League. You're listening to the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Coming up next, we'll be joined in the studio by our Artist of the Week. Loose articles are here next. Good morning. You're listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. It's Shebahn Aherne and former Chelsea and Marseille striker Tony Cascarino. If you're watching the smart TV, he's moved to my right hand side because our band of the week is coming in just a moment time. You all right there?
Yeah, I've got myself settled.
Oh,
I'm comfortable.
He's all good to go. Can I just say good morning, by the way, to Geordie Martin and his mum, Gwendolyn, who are looking forward to the game today. Big time listeners here at talkSPORT. Good morning, Martin. Good morning, Gwen. Gwendolyn's a nice name, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Gwendolyn. Do they normally use the full, the strings?
No, he calls her Gwen.
I was going to say.
I quite like Gwendolyn.
Gwendolyn, yeah.
Gwendolyn. Some of your other headlines this morning, by the way. Steven Gerrard has revealed he was very close to returning to Rangers as manager, but ultimately turned down the role because things were not perfect for him. He spoke about his family living in Bahrain as well. He was with the guys doing the commentary yesterday at Anfield, and it was the first time he'd met Arne Slot, and Arne was saying that he's invited him to come along to Liverpool training. And he hasn't been able to accept the invite yet, but Gerrard said, I'll be there tomorrow. Danny Welbeck scored for a third successive Premier League game as Brighton beat Leeds 3-0 yesterday. And it's time now to get an update on the rugby in partnership with Tenor Men.
Autumn Internationals update on talkSPORT with Tenor Men. Stay dry and keep control with an unbeatable lineup of products approved by the Men's Health Lab.
And here's our Alfie Reynolds, our talkSPORT rugby expert, rounding up all of the action from the Autumn Internationals yesterday.
So, England's November is up and running after they defeated Australia at Twickenham. They pulled away in the final 20 minutes, 12 months on from when they were consistently losing close games. So, was this a sign of England's progression?
I think the team's developing well and it's heading in that direction. There's a number of factors that come to finishing those games off. And I think the experience, and unfortunately you want progress you want to flick a switch and win. Now sometimes you go through some painful experiences, sometimes you go through those tough ones, but this is a squad that's eager to learn. So we'll address those issues we can learn from, and there'll be plenty out there today that when we review it that we could do better. So the aim is to be a better team next Saturday.
Those were the thoughts of the England head coach Steve Borthwick, and I think that whilst it wasn't a perfect performance yesterday against Australia at Twickenham, it does show how England are developing and the strength and depth they now have in the squad. Luke Cowan-Dickie was one of 6 British and Irish Lions that they brought off the bench. He scored a try on his 50th appearance for England to help win the game, and he explained to me afterwards there's a real unity amongst this current England squad.
this is probably the best buy-in we've had from everyone. You know, I was on the bench tonight, whether I was travelling or starting, it would have been no different from me, and it was no different from the boys who weren't playing. I would say they out-trained us this week. They prepared us probably the best they could have for this week, and I think it definitely showed when it got tight. Yeah, like I said, we come out of an arm wrestle and got the victory, so it was good.
Elsewhere for England, Tom Roebuck had another very good performance on the wing. It was his 7th appearance, and he was involved in helping set up the first 2 tries. Previously, he's found himself behind Emmanuel Faye-Reboso and Tommy Freeman for that wing position, but he's got his opportunity, and he admitted afterwards that it's all part of the challenge getting into this England team.
I mean, obviously, like they're 2 world-class players as well, and Freemo's shown that he can do it all over the pitch, which is great for him. And I think that sometimes that is the case. You just do have to bide your time a little bit. You do have to train as hard as you can, and sometimes selections don't go your way, and that is part of the game. Ultimately, everyone has to deal with that. So it's just how can you bounce back from that? How can you take that, relish it, and sort of use that as your motivation to go? And now I'm getting a bit of a go. I can't complain. I'm just going to try and do my best and keep moving forward with that, and we'll see where it goes.
Up next for England, it's Fiji before New Zealand and Argentina make the trip to Twickenham later on this month. Elsewhere in yesterday's games, there were big victories for Scotland and South Africa against the USA and Japan respectively, and New Zealand got the victory against Ireland in Chicago.
I started watching the Ireland game, and I think I switched off when they were leading by 13, and then I went over to the football. And in the end, it ended up New Zealand beat them 26-13. Scotland 85-0 over the USA.
Game, that one.
I don't know if you saw a bit of the Ireland game. They were in Chicago. The stadium was absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
Great stuff, that.
That was an update for the rugby, all thanks to Tenor Men.
Autumn Internationals update on talkSPORT with Tenor Men. Stay dry and keep control with an unbeatable lineup of products approved by the Men's Health Lab.
Just a reminder, England also took on Australia in the Rugby League Ashes yesterday. They lost at 14-4. Cass said he switched it on. There was 3 players sent off within 1 minute.
Well, sin bins, yeah. Within 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Yeah. Chaos. Right, it's time now for this. Listening to the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. It's time now for our Artist of the Week. You're hearing the Loose Articles with Marseille, Manchester in the area. Pleased to say that Natalie and Erin from Loose Articles are with us now. Good morning.
Hiya.
Good morning.
Hiya, okay.
You need to switch on the smart TV because you two are like hot pink, neon orange. This morning. You look so cool. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, all right. So we're up this early, so yeah.
You getting home at this time?
Maybe.
Tell us about your team. You're FC United fans, right?
Yeah. So we was both born United fans anyway, and then just naturally we ended up just becoming FC United fans by just going to the matches.
Yeah, and our local pub, the Peveril the Peak, there's a big FC United following there, so they introduced us to going to the matches.
I see. And
so like feeder clubs, don't they? Manchester United feeder club. I mean, look at Salford, and then you look at Manchester United FC or Manchester FC. It's extraordinary the support that club, even though that you were United fans originally.
Yeah,
it was against the Glazers taking over the club, right?
Yeah. 2005. Yeah. So it's a fan zone club. Yeah. So if you're a fan,
how are they getting on?
Yeah,
they are second
in the league at the moment.
In the Northern Premier League. So
yeah, good. I was interested in the word Marseille. Is that the connection there with Marseille?
I
was there. I played there. I lived in Marseille.
Nice. So basically, we got asked to do this song, and it was all about sort of the connection between Manchester and Marseille and how similar they are as well. So on the song, there's like a French rapper as well, Nadir on it, and that would just basically we just did the song over that.
Yeah. Did you do it there?
No, we did it in Manchester, didn't we? But we've shot some of the music video over there. Right. We had some fun in Marseille's lovely.
Yeah, it's feisty,
so nice.
Feisty town, but it's quite it's good fun as well. There's some great stuff goes on there.
Yeah, Manchester's a feisty town as well, so there is the connection.
Yeah, like quite nicely. And you're going to sing that for us now, aren't you?
Yeah.
I've seen Manchester in the area. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right, take it away. You're listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Now it's the Loose Articles.
Right.
Like Marseille, Manchester's an inspiration, an iconic city just from a different nation. Manchester, we welcome all to enter. Music flowing out here, a non-stop party.
Manchester in the area, money on the map, not even a area. Come down now, watch us get Laria, centre of the universe, in reverse. Manchester in the area, money on the map, not even a area. Come down now, watch us get Laria, centre of the universe, in reverse.
Marseille has the harbour, we've got the northern quarter. Marseille has the sunshine, we have the rain but we'll have a good time. Woo!
It's Manchester in the area.
Area!
Never heard of ya, not even aware of ya. It's Manchester in the area.
Area!
Never heard of ya, not even aware of ya. Come down, watch us get Laria, having it large, man hysteria.
Party people all over the area, having it large, man hysteria.
It's Manchester in the area.
Area!
Never heard of ya, not even aware of ya. It's Manchester in the area.
Area!
Never heard of ya, not even aware of ya. It's Manchester in the area.
Area!
Never heard of ya, not even aware of ya. It's Manchester in the area.
Area!
Never heard of ya, not even aware of ya.
So you performed this for FC United. Did you do this one for
We
them?
didn't do this
Not
one,
yet,
this is
no.
a new one. So, yeah, it's been properly released. So the remix has been released already, but then it's on the 7th.
7th of November.
And have you got gigs coming up as well that people can go to?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we've got one in London at the Seabright Arms on the 8th of December.
Yeah.
And then in Manchester, we've got one on the 18th.
And then we're also doing, we're supporting House of All as well. So that's in Liverpool, Leeds and Manchester in November. And I've forgotten the dates off the top of my head.
What a treat. Thank you.
Tell me the photo on your guitar as well.
Oh, yeah, it's my friend Beku. He's, Fulham fan. And, yeah, I've just got him here, so I've brought him with us. So, yeah.
Lucky
so
charm.
it's one of our, so we've just released a song with him as well. And it was called I Like Football Shirts. And it was his addiction of buying football shirts.
Oh, really?
All
How
the
many has he
time.
got?
So he had a lot. He has absolutely loads. So, yeah, it's like, so...
Well, brilliant. It was great to have
great
you
stuff.
on, Steve. Keep going strong. Natalie and Erin, from Loose Articles, thank you so much. And good luck with it. Hope it all goes well for you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
And fair play to FC United. Hope they go strong as well. You listen to Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. It's competition time now, under 1 week to go until the lines close for your chance to play for £100,000, completely tax-free as well. If you're the lucky winner, get in the call this Thursday. Keep your phone on you if you have entered. You'll be heading to talkSPORT Towers on the 13th of November to play for a life-changing cash prize. Here's how you can get involved.
18 plus UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 6th of November at 4 p.m. This is a TalkSPORT limited promotion run on TalkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
How are you today? You're listening to the Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT. Shebahn Aherne and former Republic of Ireland and Marseille striker Tony Cascarino. That song was made for you.
Yeah.
In the area. Headlines this morning: St Mirren scored twice late on to extinguish Motherwell's spirited fight back and seal a League Cup final place for the first time since winning the competition in 2013. So that finished 4-1 yesterday. And Brighton got back to winning ways after defeating Leeds 3-0 at the Amex yesterday. Danny Welbeck, wow, continued his fine form with another goal in the Premier League.
Do you know what? I'm watching, I didn't see all the game, but I saw quite a bit of the Minter for Brighton. What a handful he is. I watched him it was start of last season. I thought every fullback that comes up against him is literally going to have a battle physically.
And go back to Danny Welbeck as well. We'd spoken about him a couple of weeks ago. The form that he's in. He's English. Is Thomas Tuchel keeping an eye on him? That's something Fabian Hertzler was asked about yesterday.
No, I won't do it because, like I said, it's not my responsibility. Like my responsibility is to show how Danny can be helpful for us, how he keeps on scoring, how he can help the whole team to be like a good connector. And that's my own responsibility, and the rest I can't decide.
So we do know that Danny Welbeck is scoring goals. Ollie Watkins isn't.
Yeah.
Should this be looked at? Seriously, you can't just be put out because of age if you're in great form, can you?
No, you're there on ability and merit. Merit has to be the standard. Ollie Watkins got there on merit for being in the England squad, and like others did, Ivan Toney. But it changes with England. England have such an elite amount of players to take, and add depth to their squad.
Yeah,
Danny Welbeck, if you're looking at going to win a tournament and you felt he could play a part if certain scenarios happened, of course you'd take him.
The international break, there's another one in a few weeks, Sam, is that right? Sam, international break, a few weeks? Another one in November, isn't it? November, there is one.
Yeah, there is.
So based on form, you would think he should be called up or selected, but then...
You never know with managers, because some managers have just a personal choice of what they want, and under no circumstances they will call in a certain player. That's always happened over every decade.
And then you even look at Thomas Tuchel's last selection, like Jack Grealish had been in great form, but he wasn't selected.
Yeah.
So you wonder, but it is a good talking point all the same.
Yeah.
Right, there was some live boxing for you last night here on talkSPORT, which saw Joshua Boatsi back in action. Here's how the winning moment sounded right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Grzegorz Molenda scores it 95-95, even a draw. And both judges, Salvador Salva and Marcus McDonald, scored the same, 96-94, both for your winner by majority decision. And now the WBA International Light Heavyweight Champion, Joshua Boatsi.
It was live here on talkSPORT. Boatsi secured a points victory over Zach Parker in Manchester last night. For more on this, we're joined by former Team GB boxer Ruth Raper. Good morning, Ruth.
Hi,
Good morning, guys. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, we're good.
It's good to have you with us.
Great to be here. It's so good to talk to you all.
So tell us about last night for, Joshua Boatsi and Zach Parker. Tell us.
Well, listen, for those of you that don't follow boxing, for Boatsi, this was about proving that he's still one of the best in the world. He's coming off a phenomenal fight, but unfortunately he lost that fight. So this fight with Parker was about he still belongs at the very top. For Parker, it's about proving he's world level because he's had a very stop-start career. Now, the fight, it was kind of to and fro. I think Parker got his tactics just right. He was boxing long. He was letting his hands go at long range. But as soon as they got close, he was spoiling and holding. Boatsi, it kind of felt like he was waiting a little bit too long, which is something he's been guilty of his whole career. But Boatsi ended up getting the win. So for me, this means one thing. We have to see Boatsi versus Yard, which is a fight the British public have been calling for years. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Well, Boatsi there's no doubts that he's a talent, but Yard is another sort of extreme, isn't he? You feel like he's been hanging around for quite a while as well.
Yeah, they've both had careers where they've been up and around at the top for years and years and years, but for whatever reason they haven't met. But now there's really no reason. Yard's got this fight with Benavidez, which is going to be a huge challenge. Benavidez is one of the most fearsome and best fighters in the world. But to be honest, in my head, regardless of whether Yard wins or not, this Buatsi fight has to happen next.
Right. When do you think that would happen then?
I mean, I hope it would be the UK. They're both London boys, so there's no reason why they shouldn't or wouldn't sell out the O2. But with the way things are at the moment, it could even end up in Riyadh.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of fights are, of course, going there. And did you expect a little bit more from Buatsi last night then, Ruth? Like you say, he was kind of holding off a little bit. Were you expecting more from that performance, or is that just his game?
Like I said, this is something we've seen from Buatsi from day one. When he turned pro, we expected so much from him because he looked as an amateur, you know, an Olympian, he got a medal. He looked like one of those amateurs that was actually going to flourish as a pro and be a better pro than he was an amateur. But it's almost like we haven't quite seen the best of him. It's almost like he holds back a little bit. And that's exactly how it felt last night. Like we just wanted him to get busy and let his hands go. But I think a fight with Yard, because there's been so much build up, there's so much history, I think we would see the best of him then.
Yeah. What about on the undercard? Obviously, you always get great fights that appear, maybe new stars.
Yeah, listen, the co-main event stole the show for me. It was an unbelievable fight. It was the Reds versus the Blues. It was Lyndon Arthur, who's been boxing at world level for some time now, and then it was Ray, who's looking out onto that world level. They had a bit of history, obviously, both Manchester boys, so they've sparred hundreds of rounds, but like Lyndon has already been up there. So for him, it was about proving I'm better than you. You're still a kid. But for Brad, it was about saying, I'm not that kid that you used to beat up in sparring anymore. The fight was unbelievable. I did not expect it to be as explosive as it was. Brad came out and he left nothing. And he was letting go these phenomenal combinations, finishing on these great left hooks, and he dropped Lyndon. And I couldn't believe it. I shouted at the TV. I was adamant Lyndon was going to win pretty comfortably. But then as the rounds went on, Lyndon started to show his experience. And Lyndon, he's probably got one of the best jabs in British boxing, and it really came into play at the later stages of that fight. As much as Brad Ray is going to be disappointed, he's still young, and I think we'll see him come again. For Lyndon, he secured that European title, so he can be involved in some really exciting fights from here on out.
Brilliant stuff. Ruth Raper, thank you so much for your time this morning. Great insight from you, former Team GB boxer. We'll speak to you again soon.
Cheers, thank you.
Guys.
Take care, Ruth. I wonder then when that'll happen. Joshua Buatsi, Anthony Yard. Seems like
Anthony Yard's been around for a while and seems to get to the right close to the ultimate goal, but never quite getting there.
More on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel if you want your fix there. The latest episode, by the way, of the talkSPORT Daily podcast is available for you now. We've got football writer Tom Harris with Dan Bardell and Max Scott discussing whether Andoni Areola really is the future of the Premier League and whether he could be Pep Guardiola's potential successor at Manchester City.
I think it's a very unique style of play. I follow quite a lot of Spanish football, so I was aware of him when he was in Spain for Rayo Vallecano, and he kind of had the same effect on this Spanish audience, right? Where it's such an intense style of football. It's so in your face. If he wants to squeeze up the pitch, he wants to nick the ball high. It's often kind of man to man, and you're leaving the midfielders and the defenders to make decisions for themselves to make sure that everybody's covering for everybody. It's really brave, and it is really eye-catching. And I think, it caught La Liga by surprise, and it has caught the Premier League by surprise. So, the question is now, how do they adapt? How do they continue? And I think we've seen a little bit of that already in the current season.
That's a good discussion. Decent listen. You can get the latest episode of the talkSPORT Daily podcast now, wherever you get your podcasts, or you can listen to it on the talkSPORT app, which you can download now for free. Still to come for you in the Weekend Sports Breakfast. We'll look ahead to all of today's Premier League action. 2 more massive games. We've got you covered here on talkSPORT. Morning.
Let's be honest, we've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. This feel familiar?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision.
It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top of football refereeing? Every referee starts with their county FA. It's a simple training course and you can take it as soon as you hit your 14th birthday. Once you've done that, you have to go through at least 11 hours of face-to-face training. You'll then graduate as a Level 7 official, which means you can take charge of county-level games. But hold your horses, there's still a long way to go to get to the Premier League. Your next step is to spend a year each at Levels 6, 5 and 4. This covers the top of the amateur game. Only at Level 3 do you start doing Northern Counties or Isthmian League level games, for example. If you've done this all quickly, you can reach Level 2 and ref your first National League match after, I don't know, 6 years? After getting enough experience at that level, you can apply to be a referee in the EFL. There's an interview, people watching you do games, and then, if the EFL are happy, you'll be granted a Level 1 licence to ref in games in League 2 and above. Now, they don't just say on you go to the Premier League, you have to work your way up through the divisions. Only after years of hard work and refereeing on cold Tuesday nights in Stoke can you be considered to do matches in some of Europe's very best stadiums. Now, who was the youngest to reach the very top? It was actually Michael Oliver. He reffed his first Premier League match in 2010 at the tender age of just 25. So if you want to follow in his footsteps, crack on. It'll only take you roughly a decade, thousands of hours of work and an incredibly thick skin. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough for the top flight. That means there's not even a 1 in 1,000 chance you'll even make it in. Obviously, referees can make mistakes, but when you think about it, having a go at them is kind of like slating a brain surgeon.
Good morning, you're listening to the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. We're live on your radio, we're on your smart TV as well. We're on the YouTube channel. It's good to be with you. I'm Shebahn Aherne alongside former Millwall and Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Lots coming up over the next hour. Liverpool get back to winning ways against Aston Villa.
Given away, Mo Salah! This time he'll count. This time Liverpool have the lead.
It finished 2-0 live for you here on talkSPORT last night. History for Mo Salah, 250 goals for the Reds. Wolves' miserable run continues though. Are they destined for the drop this season?
2 months ago they sing my name, and I know that if we win the next 2 or 3 games, everything changes.
Vitor Pereira says he will fight on. The only team in England's top 4 leagues that have 0 wins to their name. Oh dear. And later today, Manchester City will welcome Bournemouth in the Premier League. How's Pep Guardiola feeling about this one?
It's about the results, about really, truly, I know it.
The whole.
If you win, we are close. If we don't win, we are far away. You ask me about that, you ask me about really. Still we are not our best, but we are close.
Oh, another bit of a spat with a reporter there. Are Pep and City starting to feel a little bit of the pressure? We want to hear from you this morning. 03717 22 3344. Wolves fans, what's next for you? Is it time to get a new manager, or do you stick? You're listening to the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Couple of games for you today, Cass. West Ham take on Newcastle. That's at 2 o'clock. Then Man City Bournemouth at 4 o'clock. Sorry, 4:30. We'll keep you posted on those games here on talkSPORT with Hugh Wozencroft on Game Day Live. And then, of course, tomorrow night, Sunderland take on Everton here on talkSPORT. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Well, because Sunderland are going so well, David Moyes has managed Sunderland and Everton, so yeah, there's a connection there. And can Everton go up there and get a result against a very vibrant Sunderland team?
Absolutely. Let's talk about West Ham against Newcastle, the 2 o'clock kickoff today. Nuno Espirito Santo once again goes in search for his first win as Iron's boss. The Hammers are trying to avoid 4 successive defeats in the top flight, whereas the visitors are on the hunt for their 4th straight win across all competitions. What can we say about West Ham? I honestly thought.
Well, he doesn't know his 11, Shebahn.
Yeah.
You know, we saw that. We've seen that in games, that he's chopping and changing, trying to find some sort of structure in his side. And so far, they haven't been able to produce results for Nuno. And they've struggled. I mean, the whole of the season has been a struggle for them. You know, what you can say is Newcastle, we know exactly what they're going to be about. Be Valdemada up front. It'll be either Anthony Gordon, Harvey Elliott, Murphy on one side. It could be Alanga. You know, we know the structure of the way they're going to go. They're going to go 4-3-3, Newcastle. That's what they do with the likes of Ramirez, Linton in midfield, you know, Tonali. We know exactly what Newcastle are going to be. And that's the trouble for West Ham is West Ham fans don't know what type of team it will be today that he sends out.
I feel like it's unfair because Nuno's only just 10 minutes in the door, but would you fear for his job if he doesn't quickly turn it around? Too soon?
I'm not a fan. Look, I've said this many a time. I don't like the idea in football where you sack a manager and then if that in a short spell of time isn't working out, you can sack again.
No, I agree.
I don't think it should be allowed in football. I think there should be certain time frames where a manager's given a chance. They are high-profile jobs, and if you invest in bringing in a new guy, you've got to have some sort of loyalty to him.
Well, this is it. We very well know that Nuno is a fantastic manager, you know, but I don't think he's been given the right tools. Fans against the board. It's all a bit of chaos. It's hard to flourish in those environments.
Well, he done a great job at Wolves. He done a great job at Forest. He had a very difficult time at Spurs, which he didn't last very long. You know, so it just tells you how hard management is to get it right. And he's joined West Ham, a team that's been way off it. And obviously Graham Potter lost his job there. And now he's got a battle to try and find a team that he can make competitive.
Yeah. Sam Matterface, our commentator, obviously covers so many of the games. He'd said earlier on in the week that West Ham are back in Nuno, you know, regardless kind of thing.
Yeah, they have.
Remains to be seen, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Through thick or thin now, you've got to go, look, and into the new year. And if by the end of the season you feel it just hasn't worked, that's for me, Nuno should get right to the end of the season to try and sort it out.
Newcastle, just looking at them, 13th in the table on 12 points. We'll see how it goes for them today, but Valdemata.
I'm looking forward to seeing him. I've seen him a few times before he come to England. And I've seen him at under 21 level with Germany. I've seen him, obviously, playing in the German league. He's different. He's very different because he's so big and so good technically. He's been I think Newcastle fans are really surprised how good he is. I mean, I think he's 22, 23 oldest.
Yeah.
You know, so he's real handful.
Let's talk about Manchester City against Bournemouth, 4:30 this afternoon. We can hear now from the City manager ahead of the game. Pep went back and forth with a reporter about how their season has started.
It's about the results, about the really, truly, I know it.
The whole.
If you win, we are close. If we don't win, we are far away. You ask me about that, or ask me about really. Still, we are not our best, but we are close. I think I had the feeling, I said a month ago, that had the smell that these words will be completely devastated if you don't get results. I know that, but at the feeling when I see the team, when I see in the dressing room, in the trainings, and how we apply, how we want to try to do things, I had the feeling that when I think Rodri can come his best. They will not be soon his best, but can help us. And alongside for all the alternatives I can have, we'll be a team that will be difficult for the opponents to beat us. And this is what I want. We'll be when we'll be there, still close to fight. I don't know, but I said from the beginning, since I woke up in the States, I'm really, really optimistic about the team is going to do this season.
Before last weekend, when they were beaten by Aston Villa 1-0, they were on a 9-game unbeaten run. You know, they're still not the City of old, though, Cass.
No, well, they just rolled over nearly everybody for a period of time, didn't they? You know, that's a very super high standard. He is getting spiky with some reporters, but he's getting a little bit frustrated. But he's talking very positively about the future of Manchester City. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. Good game today, though. Do you think they'll get a win?
Great game. Great game. Really looking forward to it. Just as much because of Bournemouth, you know, watching them and how they apply themselves.
Yep.
Dynamic, just a real handful of a team. So much energy across the board, midfield, you know, got legs with like Scott in there, and you know they've just got a lot about them, Bournemouth.
Game Day Live, keeping you posted in those games today on talkSPORT with you, Woos and Croft, from 1 o'clock, and also coming up tomorrow night. There's a huge annual event in the Northwest in Manchester. It's the Northwest Football Awards. To discuss the event and look forward to it in more detail, we've got one of the key organisers with us this morning, Laura Wolf. Good morning, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Morning. Hi there.
Good to have you with us. This is the 18th year of the Northwest Football Awards. What's it looking like? How's tomorrow shaping up?
Yeah, it's the 18th year and I'm not getting any younger. It's my 15th one, and it's every year it gets bigger and bigger, but harder and harder. It's a huge night for Northwest football. We celebrate absolutely everything from on the pitch to off the pitch. Everyone involved in the game, all the clubs are involved, the footballing organisations, and it is a huge, huge night.
Well, the positive is, Laura, that I've never met anybody getting younger, so we're all getting older together.
Although I do try.
Yeah, we all try.
I'm up to my eyes in Botox, Laura. Don't worry about it.
All of that.
We do try, but we look in the mirror and we think, maybe I've not tried hard enough or whatever. Look, tell us about the Northwest Awards, because it's been going on, as you said now, for a long time. And, you know, the Northwest has it's got a huge history regarding football, hasn't it?
Well, we would say we're the best region in the country, arguably, but we don't argue about that. We've got, you know, obviously some top teams with a lot of history going on, but the whole football pyramid in the region, there are 23 professional clubs on the men's side in the region. And then obviously in the women's game, we celebrate that too. And now, that's just equaling the men's in terms of the interest and the excitement here in the region, with the teams that we have, with the likes of Liverpool, City United, women, all vying for the top spots, along with Chelsea and Arsenal, obviously.
And who's your team then?
Now, you see, that's a really difficult question to ask me the day before the Northwest Footballs when I'm supposed to not.
Okay, fair enough.
So, no, I mean, listen, I'm a Manchester City fan, have been all my life, but I love football and love football in the Northwest. So it's so good to be able to champion that and be sort of waving the flag.
Yeah.
And some brilliant awards as well.
It's hard to debate otherwise. If you look at the success of the Northwest, from Manchester City to Manchester United and Liverpool, there's just so much that's gone on over the last couple of decades, hasn't there? And you would say success in different levels as well, whether it's the Championship and other clubs.
Yeah, we support, we celebrate everything from the National League right through to the Premier League, the WSL, the Women's National League. And then it's, as I say, it's everything on and off. So it's the people working behind the scenes that no one really knows about, but are doing amazing things, because obviously, as we know, football on the pitch, yes, it's about the players, but it can't happen with everything that goes on behind the scenes and all the support that happens. Yeah. And the other big part of what we do is how football clubs are the heart of their communities, which they absolutely are. And we celebrate the work that's going on, that the players and the clubs are doing within the communities.
Yeah, no, and that's really good to hear. And that is what it's all about. I mean, these clubs flourish because of everybody behind the scenes as well. Who are you expecting there then tomorrow night? What big names will be there?
So, well, if I tell you, I have to kill you, really, because then you're going to know who's going to win, because the winners are there.
Is Arne Slot going for manager of the season?
He's up for manager of the season, of course, but as you know, they've got a game against Real Madrid the next night. Okay. So that's always tricky. That you know what the football calendar's like. We love it, but our lives revolve around it. Yeah. So we have to whether games drop, it's a problem. So it does have an impact on us. But we are expecting some of the big names. So if you look at the list, you might be able to work out who might be in the room.
Okay, lovely stuff. Well, good luck for it tomorrow, Laura. We're going to be covering the event. talkSPORT will be there. Our Manchester correspondent Angelina Kelly will be there, so we'll be picking up all of the interviews and you can hear them the next day on talkSPORT Breakfast. Laura, good luck with it all. I imagine you've probably got a lot to get through, so thanks for making the time for us this morning.
Cheers, Laura.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
All the best. Laura Wolf from the Northwest Football Awards, all happening tomorrow night. We will have you covered here on talkSPORT, and coming up next on the Weekend Sports Breakfast, we'll discuss the return of a great man to the talkSPORT airwaves. Good morning, this is Weekend Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Shebahn Aherne and former Millwall and Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino. That gets you going, doesn't it?
Yeah. Funny enough, it was on last night, wasn't it? With Timothy Dalton, one of the films. I think he was on last night. I got just a quick glimpse of it. You know, Timothy Dalton, he always gets forgotten, doesn't he?
Who was your favourite Bond?
Oh, probably Sean Connery. I like Roger Moore and Sean Connery were great. But then, Daniel Craig was pretty amazing as well.
Yeah.
We've had some really good ones.
Well, Idris Elba's been the favourite, hasn't he, for quite some time, that he's going to be the new Bond. Well, apparently, he's not. He's poured cold water on the rumours that he's going to be the next James Bond. He said he can't believe he's still been asked this at the age of 53. He says he's too old to be Bond.
Yeah, there is an element of age with Bond because obviously he has to do all. Well, I know it's all stunted, but it has to feel a bit of a younger man, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He looks good for 53. He could. What was Daniel Craig at the end? He was into. I think he was close to 52.
Must have been.
Yeah.
Around that. Yeah. Must have been
when he was doing Bond.
I always had my money on the fact that it would have been Idris Elba being the next Bond.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been. I wonder who it'll be then. God, it's dragging out. Just announce someone. Get on with it. Cass, which talkSPORT presenter would make a good Bond?
Oh,
none of them.
No, I don't think any of them.
Imagine Alan Brazil.
I don't think any of them.
Andy Townsend, Silver Fox, eh?
Andy's 60 now, in his 60s.
Too old.
We're saying 53 is too old now. You've got to have a young one.
Right, you have to choose one. Jamie O'Hara or Gabby Agbonlake. You have to choose one. Who's your next Bond?
Pass on both.
No, you have to choose one. No, you have to.
Darren Bent I'd have in front of them too.
But you have to. That's the final stage of the audition.
I was watching Jamie O'Hara in Sky midweek, and he had the cardigan on, didn't he? The granddad's cardigan. I was sure that Cundy was going to mention it when they done a show together. He had the old cardigan on.
Jamie double O'Hara. Better that. Go on, choose one. Gabby or Jamie, choose.
I don't know. I think both. They're both funny. More serious.
Funny looking.
I'll probably go Jamie because he's a bit more serious, but it's a close contest.
Right, we'll get Gabby on the phone and he can react to that. It's time now to get the latest odds with Coral.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Coral, the home of the free-to-play Golden Rewards Shaker. 18 plus max 1 reward per player per selected Shaker day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. Gambleaware.org.
Coral's very own James Bond is with us this morning. John Hill, you must have the odds. Who's going to be the latest Bond then if it's not going to be Idris?
We do, Shebahn. And you know what? You're quite right. It is dragging on. This market is 20 years old in the making. Obviously, Daniel Craig first became James Bond in 2005, and we opened bet straight away, as we always do, who's going to be the next James Bond, and we must have had thousands of different names at the top end of the betting. But right now, I can tell you, it's looking Aaron Taylor-Johnson is the favourite. He's the even money favourite for the role. Theo James is up there. Henry Cavill, Jack Loudon.
Oh,
some
hello,
of these names
Aaron.
I do not know, but
There he is.
yeah. So these are the names, but Idris has ruled it out. He doesn't fancy it.
Okay, I've just googled Aaron Taylor-Johnson. We'll take that.
I tell you, I'm going for the talkSPORT crew. Ali McCoy would be my choice.
Yeah.
No, he's a villain. He's got to be a villain.
He's a Rangers fan. He's a villain.
There's 100
that's
in talkSPORT. There could be about 100 villains that could do that job.
Yeah, there certainly is. But Ali's a good guy. I love Ali McCoy. He gets my vote every day.
John, I want to know, because obviously Arsenal keep winning the title odds, and I know there's obviously Man City are playing today as well. Tell us what they are like. How short are Arsenal getting now?
Well, they're 1-2 cast for the title. Results just keep going their way, don't they? Do you think that's too short? Do you think that's about right for you?
No, I think it's a good price for them.
Do you?
I think they should be shorter.
Yeah, I think you could make a case, couldn't you? It depends on obviously what happens today in that City Bournemouth game, but they're running out of teams that can challenge them, aren't they? Really, if you think about it.
Yeah,
but,
they've 10 games. City
are 11-2 second favourites. They're the closest challengers as we feel in the market. But as I say, they've not got an easy game today. We'll come on to that shortly. But they'll be delighted where there are Arsenal, and they've just got to keep going, haven't they? Really, defensively, they're as solid as you like. They're scoring goals everything's in place for them to win this title this season. So, they've just got to keep going.
John, West Ham, early game, take on Newcastle.
Yes.
Newcastle are going to be favourites. What price are you giving? Because obviously West Ham have been so poor so far this year.
Well, something's got to give in this game, really. West Ham have not won at home this season in the Premier League. They've lost all 4 games, actually, so terrible for the season ticket holders at the London Stadium. And Newcastle haven't won an away game in the Premier League. OK, it could be a draw today, but Newcastle are firm favourites, 8-13 to come away from East London with all 3 points. West Ham, they really are in a relegation scrap. Their odds on at 4-6 now, West Ham, for relegation. They're 4-1 to win today, which is an incredible price to win a home game in the Premier League for West Ham. It just shows you how things are for them this season. The draw 3-1. So Newcastle firm favourites. They've got to turn it around, West Ham, at some point. Otherwise, they could be heading down to the Championship.
Can we head up the road as well, John? Yeah. The big one today, Celtic Rangers semi-final.
Yeah, great game, isn't it? 10-11 Celtic at home here. Mentioned yesterday, obviously, new managers. And obviously, we are betting actually on the next permanent Celtic manager, because obviously Martin's gone in an interim position. He's actually 4-1 favourite now, is Martin, to get the job permanently. So, he's made a steady start, as Martin. Obviously knows the club very well from his first spell there, doesn't he, Cass? And they might just see him as the safe pair of hands if he can keep things positive there.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever safe up there somehow. It's always
that's true.
a merry-go-round of, like we've seen with Rangers. You mentioned earlier, Man City playing today, taking on Bournemouth, who are, as Pep Guardiola alluded to, that are a very dangerous side. And this will be a really good game of football to watch today.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's a cracker at 4:30. We took it into my Sunday roast at this time. And if it had said to you in November, Bournemouth would be 2 points above Manchester City, the standings, I don't think either of you would have believed me, would you? But that's the scenario we're at, and that shows you how well Bournemouth have started the season. And City are 1-2 favourites, but I don't think I'd be backing them at 1-2. Bournemouth 5-1 for the upset here, 7-2 the draw. I think one thing is safe to say. I hope I've not cursed it, but there should be goals in this game. It's 2 ties that like to play attacking football, really good threats on both ends of the pitch, and should be an entertaining fixture. And as I mentioned, City 11-2, second favourites in the betting for the title. They've got to keep winning because Arsenal are getting away from them. They can't have too many slip-ups from now until the end of the season if they're going to challenge, and this is going to be a proper test for them today.
John Hill, thank you so much for your time this morning. We're looking forward to a good day of football action. That was the latest look at the odds with Coral. 18+, begambleaware.org, and please gamble responsibly.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT, brought to you by Coral, the home of a free-to-play golden rewards shaker. 18+, max 1 reward per player per selected shaker day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. Gambleaware.org.
And on the way next on Weekend Sports Breakfast, we'll discuss more of the Glasgow Derby coming up today in the semi-final. A Celtic legend is with us next. Good morning, how's it going? You're listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT with Shebahn Aherne and former Marseille, Chelsea and Villa striker Tony Cascarino. You've got a good day in store. Here's what's ahead for you today on talkSPORT. Coming up after us at 9 o'clock this morning, all of the pullouts from the papers, everything you need to know. On the Sunday edition at 9 o'clock with Sean Custis and Henry Winter. And then the warm-up is here at 11 o'clock with Max and Barry. 1:30, game day live as ever. Hugh Wozencroft is in the house. He's bringing you all of the goals as they go in from the Premier League and beyond. 6:30, the final word takes over for your calls, and also the final whistle between Manchester City and Bournemouth. And then Danny Kelly is here on the Trans-Euro Express at 9 o'clock. Another great day ahead, live for you here on talkSPORT, and over on talkSPORT 2, more live NFL action this evening as well. Going back to some of the results from yesterday, Manchester United rescuing a point against Forest. Tony Cascarino from the 2-2 draw. Amad Diallo, of course, got the equaliser.
Yeah, good goal.
At that point.
Took
Yeah,
it well.
An absolute cracker, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he's naturally a winger, so he's playing out of position. Do you think they're getting the best from the players by just sticking with this system?
Look, there's many a time in my career where I've witnessed players who do great jobs in different positions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people are more flexible, that you can trust them to do a great job. And Ahmed proved yesterday, again, that, you know, you can be utilised in a different position. You know, you don't have to have that fixed, this is only where I play. You know, how many wingers now switch sides? They'll have them on the right side and then they'll go on the left side. You know, the game is so flexible.
Yeah.
It just is.
Just looking ahead to Man United's fixtures, they're at Spurs next Saturday, and then they've got Everton at home on the 24th, then it's Crystal Palace away, and then of course we go into the next international break, so fingers crossed they can kind of
there's
steady.
some good games there for, you know, obviously going to Spurs is always a challenge for Man United because they've always historically done brilliantly well against Spurs.
Yep.
But, you know, there's David Moyes' Everton. That's always a tricky one. As formerly a Manchester United manager as well. But yeah, they've picked up and their performances are much better. And I think that's what gives the United faithful hope.
Yeah, Spurs United Everton are going to be live for you on talkSPORT, by the way. So later on this afternoon, 2 o'clock up the road, it's the Old Firm derby. Today's the semi-final of the Scottish League Cup. St Mirren got themselves to the final yesterday. And who better to talk to ahead of this game other than former Celtic midfielder Paul Lambert. Good morning, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Good morning. Morning, Tony. Morning.
Paul, I mean, this season feels so dramatic in Scotland because of Hearts, because of Celtic and Rangers, what's gone on. Tell us your feelings on just at the start of this SPL.
I just think, listen, you've played up the road as well. You know what it's, you know what it's like, and Shebahn knows it as well. Obviously, being Scottish, so it's a normal frenzy. That's if you can live with that and you can handle it, then it's a brilliant place to play. I was fortunate, I had some really great times at Celtic, and I know the good times. I had also a couple of seasons where we never performed and we get criticised, quite rightly so. But I don't think anybody probably visualised a Rangers and Celtic manager losing their jobs, or Brendan leaving and Russell losing his job in a short space of time. I think that's the only thing that's been a little bit different. But if I had to push, I would still say Celtic will win the league. And even though Hearts are doing well, but there's only 10 games or so gone.
Yeah. And Paul, I was looking earlier at the fixtures and saying, like, you know, Celtic have only lost 3 games so far in 17 and so had some disappointing performances where Rangers have lost 7, and it's obviously been a poorer start, league position, and both of them have suffered in Europe. So it's a real strange dynamic how these two teams are going to be meeting today, where not really in the form that we expect them to be.
Tony, you've played them as well. I've played them. It doesn't matter. You could be in top of your game. You could be the worst team ever to go into it. It's that given day, and it's the 50,000 people that watch it, 50-50 split. It's that's what's unique about it. As I said before, you could play in the moon and people want to go and watch it. Because honestly,
Paul, I was going to say to you, Paul, Peter Grant, who you would know well, the Celtic.
Yeah.
We had a meeting on a Friday and we were playing Rangers on the Saturday, and Peter was like, whatever we do, we can't lose our heads. We can't lose our heads. We just make sure we, you know, let's not come in Monday morning. We've been beaten by them. Let's make... We got 2 players sent off and one of them was Grantley.
You know what? You know what it's like? As soon as you cross that white line, it becomes an absolute... There's people getting fed raw meat before they go out there.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
Any tackle underneath your Adam's apple is deemed not acceptable.
I mean, the thought of even pulling out of a 50-50.
There's no chance that's ever going to happen. Just because of when you live up there, it's so divided and so split. But listen, I absolutely loved them. I loved the games. I know I lost some as well, but I also won a fair share. But I absolutely loved playing in them. They were great.
I mean, I'm an imposter in this conversation because both of you have played in Old Firm derbies. But Paul, I don't know about you. I just feel over the last year anyway, I mean, Celtic haven't been able to win against Rangers. Do you see that being different today because it's Martin O'Neill?
I think the gaffer going in, Shebahn, I think is a great move. I think the club had to move forward and act really quickly. So the gaffer going in there, I think it's definitely gave the lads a lift. What I saw against Hearts, they looked as if sometimes you've got to do the hard yards and do the ugly side of the game to win games first and foremost. I thought they'd lost that little bit, but the gaffer going in there, we certainly won't tolerate it. They'll have to run and they'll have to work. I think the other night against Falkirk, what I saw, they were certainly putting the shift in, and it was a different animal. You could feel it, and that's what he brings. That's what the gaffer brings. He brings that enthusiasm with it, and I think it's going to be a really good game. It's an open game, but from an ex-Celtic point of view, I hope the lads get the result and go through.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played in two, and we lost at home to Rangers 2-0, and we drew at Ibrox, and I scored. So that was my saviour. All I did in Scotland, Paul, was that. I scored. I got away with
it. Take it.
I took it.
Tony, that's what makes you survive. That goal made you survive. So
I did. I think, the biggest thing I had, we played Hearts, Paul, and I came on as a sub, and I was on 7 minutes. I scored, gave away a penalty, and got sent off, and it was the only ovation I got from the jungle at Celtic Park.
Paul, you mentioned Hearts.
It's unforgiving, isn't it? It's an unforgiving place if you're not performing. It really is. It's a great place when you're doing well.
Absolutely. And Hearts as well. I mean, they're 9 points at the top just now. You mentioned earlier on you still think Celtic will win the league. Explain to me why.
I just think they've been over the course that many times. I think they know how to win, Shebahn, as well. They know how to win when the pressure comes on around about March, April time. You can't say somebody's going to win the league in November. You know, it's a long, long way to go. And I don't know how long the gaffer will stay, but what I do know, if he stays for the duration of it, then I just don't see Celtic losing it, because they'll strengthen in January as well, and the club will move forward.
Yeah. Paul, did you see the Villa last night at Liverpool? Because obviously you managed Villa, and you know the difficulties of another big club. So what did you make of it, if you did?
I mean, the lad Rodgers hitting the post, if that goes in, it changes the narrative of it.
Yeah.
But Liverpool, I still think Liverpool are top side. I think it's a brilliant football club and brilliant set of supporters there. And Villa going there, I tell you, if they two go in, the ones that hit the post and the kind of junction of the crossbar and post, it becomes a different game, because then Anfield becomes a little bit edgy. But Aston Villa is a really top club, but I just think Liverpool, I think, will not be far away from winning it. I know they're a few points behind it, but I still think they're a right top side.
And can we just ask you as well, we've got you, Paul, you used to manage at Norwich. Liam Manning under a bit of pressure, really struggling in the league. Do you think there might be changes there soon, or do they stick by him?
I think a club the size of it, the crowd will decide that. I think the crowd will decide what's going to happen there. But as everybody knows, every manager knows that as soon as you drop into that bottom three, you just never know when that can fall on you. But great club, great fan base it's got. But I think he's going to have to start to win games really quickly.
It's incredible, Paul, management to me, because you can do well somewhere, and yet it can change your whole career by a job for whatever reason if it goes wrong. And that's football in a nutshell for managers. You've got so many managers who have done good jobs and also had, Nuno's the prime example, done brilliant at Wolves, done great at Nottingham Forest. It didn't work out in Tottenham. You have to take it now as a given, like, well, no one's got the perfect record, because somewhere you're going to get sacked.
Tony, just a quick one before you drop me off here. I went to see Carlo Ancelotti when I get sacked at Aston Villa, and I spent 5 days with him at Real Madrid. And the biggest thing he said to me was, just have lunch with me every day. You can ask me anything you want. and he asked me about the sacking at Aston Villa, and I said I was delighted to leave because I needed it, because of pressure, and the team wasn't doing that well, and it was totally fine. It's not a problem. But he was the one that set me straight and says, don't worry about it, Paul, I've been sacked from every club I've been at. And I thought, dear, oh dear, so he has. Yeah. And he has when you think about it, Juve, Milan, Chelsea, Madrid again, PSG. So I thought, wow, the great bit of advice. And that's a guy that I think, if you look at his record, he's won the Champions League most as a player and as a manager. Yeah. And he doesn't get the credit he deserves. But when he said that to me, I thought, that is so true. The only ones that have not been sacked is maybe, is it Pep and Pep and Jurgen, maybe? Yeah. Everybody else has had it. So
it feels like sorry, Paul. It feels like an impossible job at times to get right so often. It just feels like that to me.
Especially when you've got bad players, I think.
Yeah.
Even good managers get sacked.
Well, Paul could, he could manage Aston Villa and he could go to another club and he could walk through the door. And I've heard managers say this to me and said, I've just left a group of players that are way better than the group of players I've got here.
That's right, and that can happen. I think it's all about timing. I think it's about timing. If you get I think a good dressing is really important. If you have that, then it makes the job a lot easier. But I think owners can wake up and fall out the bed and pump their head and just wake up one morning and sack you for no reason. I think that's the way the world of football is. Yeah. Whether you're doing good, bad, or indifferent, you can be looking for another job, depending on how you wake up.
Yeah. Paul, listen, we could talk to you all day. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. What's your prediction today?
Celtic. Have
you got a message for Ali McCoist? I don't know if he's going to turn up in the morning if that is the case.
Coist will probably say Celtic will be great players and great this and great that, but he'll still go for a Rangers win, I guess. Will he? I think that's what he's going to do.
You know Ali well enough, Paul.
You can even ask Tony that question, and if Tony says the other half of the city, then he's not going back up to Glasgow.
Oh well, no,
very good point.
No, 4-0, I'm going for Celtic.
Paul Lambert, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Worries.
Enjoy the day. All the best to you, former Celtic player and manager Paul Lambert.
Paul mentioned Scotland. I wouldn't get away with it going back to Ireland.
To be fair, you did go back recently.
Yeah, I know, but you can't.
Serenading you.
Unfortunately, you have to let your head rule your heart on that one.
Time as a healer, and if you scored against the Gers, you're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, you are indeed. Looking forward to this one today. It's 2:00, the semi-final, Celtic Rangers. All the updates coming for you here on Game Day Live on talkSPORT. Also, you've got one more week to go until the lines close for your chance to play for up to £100,000. It's our biggest competition and cash prize to date, completely tax-free as well. The lucky winner gets a call this Thursday, so keep your phone on if you have entered. You'll be coming into talkSPORT Towers to see us on the 13th of November to play for a life-changing cash prize. Here's how you can get involved.
18 plus UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 6th of November at 4 p.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
And good luck to you. Coming up next on Weekend Breakfast, we'll look ahead to today's FA Cup first round action. Good morning, you're listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Shebahn Aherne and former Chelsea and Villa striker Tony Cascarino with you this morning. Some of your other headlines: the Women's Cricket World Cup final takes place today. India take on South Africa at 9:30. So talkSPORT's Nick Ellerby will be here with all of the updates for you. Also, Carlton Morris scored the first hat-trick of his career. He fired Derby County to a convincing victory against Championship strugglers Sheffield United. And there's lots going on our website at talksport.com. If you fancy a gander, here's Sean O'Brien with all the details.
Lots happening on talksport.com. You can get all the fallout from a busy day in the Premier League, but away from the top flight, an Arsenal legend has lost his job. Patrick Vieira left his role as Genoa manager on Saturday after the club's worst ever start to a Serie A campaign. Elsewhere, Chelsea women's boss Sonia Bonpastor was not happy with Mary Earps after her comments about Hannah Hampton. And in boxing, find out why Derek Chisora versus Dillian White and Jake Paul versus Javonta Davis have both been thrown into doubt. That's all over on talksport.com.
Yeah, go and have a little look there. This Mary Earps and Hannah Hampton story in the women's football world is absolutely wild, by the way. It's wild. Yeah. It's kicking off. Yeah. And then I feel like even Sonia Bonpastor having a go at Mary Earps, calling her, I'm like, whoa.
Well, sometimes they're not. They're just giving their view.
Yeah, well, they're being asked. Yeah. But now I feel that now everyone's going against Mary. I'm like, oh, it's her book. It's her story. Anyway, oh gosh. I live for the drama. Also, we live for the magic of the FA Cup. It was in full effect yesterday. Brackley Town defeated EFL side Notts County on penalties after a dramatic 2-2 draw in the first round. Here's how the winning penalty sounded on talkSPORT.
One kick to put Brackley Town into the second round of the FA Cup. Stepping forward, Brown, right-footed, scores! Brackley Town with the FA Cup upset. They win it 4-3 on spot kicks. They have knocked out another EFL side. They're into the second round for the 5th time in their history.
We spoke to a Brackley Town fan yesterday.
Yes.
What was he said? 15,000 in the town. It's a 1,000. They'll always be at the games and never let them down. So a huge moment for them.
A huge moment, and the prize money for the first round winner, 47,000.
Oh, you see.
So it's a massive, it has a huge effect on the season for a club of that level.
Absolutely. But then for them to go to the next round and the joy that will bring the fan base. And, he said he's a volunteer, the boy we spoke to yesterday, wasn't he? So it's great. Great moment for them. More FA Cup first round action today, and another side hoping for an upset is National League North side South Shields. They tackle League 2 Shrewsbury Town. This is the first meeting between the two sides in any competition. And to look ahead to this one for us, at the South Shields chair, Jeff Thompson is with us on talkSPORT. Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Good morning. Good morning.
You could do with 47,000, Jeff, I'm sure, to help with the team and the club, running the club?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be a great help. I mean, obviously, we've already got some media income from today. And we'll have a big crowd there today. So, yes, another 47 grand would be very nice indeed. But that's not really... That's not really the focus. This is about, hopefully, a bit of glory for the town and for the club. And I'm sure Ian and Carl will have the lads thoroughly prepared.
Yeah. Tell us about South Shields. And, obviously you've got huge clubs around you, of Newcastle, Sunderland and others, Gateshead. So tell us about that area in the UK where football is... I played under Jackie Charlton, so I know all the stuff about the Geordies and, listen to how much desire and love for football in that part of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, South Shields as a town, we're sort of almost equidistant between Sunderland and Newcastle. We're probably the only club where a Newcastle fan and a Sunderland fan could sit side by side and watch a game of football without too much animosity. But yeah, I mean, as a club, we were first founded in 1888. We were a football league club right back in the 1920s, beating the likes of Chelsea and Man United back in the day. So, we've got a rich history. Sadly, the club obviously lost its way, went bust in 1930, I believe. And so we've got all of that history. We're in a very passionate part of the world for football. We've got a strong backing from our fans and our sponsors. And so we're hoping, we've made a great start this season in the league. And we're hoping for better things. We're hoping to keep pushing forward.
Yeah. Now, by the way, you look really cool. If you're watching on your smart TV, you're sitting in your armchair. I feel like you're about to light up a fat cigar there. That'll be you later if you get the win today, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You're not wrong. But I'm just in the home office, but I'm heading to the ground any minute now. Once we're done, I'm going to I only live a short distance away from the ground.
You're doing okay, aren't you, in the National League North? You're doing okay, aren't you? Things are going good for the club.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we changed manager Ian Watson. We recruited with Carl Magnay. We've done a lot of recruitment within the first team as well. So, we made a great start. We only had one defeat in the league so far. Yeah. In fact, one defeat entirely, of course, in all competitions. So, a great start. There's a long way to go, but we're confident we're doing the right thing, and let's hope we can continue the progress, both in the league and, dare I say, in the cup.
What kind of crowd are you expecting today, Jeff?
Well, we've got a capacity of just under 4,000 currently. We've got plans to further develop the ground to get to, dare I say, EFL2 ground grading standards. But so with the current capacity, it'll be a full house today.
Right. And Shrewsbury coming to town, so looking forward to taking on, obviously, EFL team.
Yeah. I mean, they've had, I'm not sure I'm the best analyst to talk about it, but, the bottom line is I know they've had a more difficult start this season. They are, without doubt, favourites to win today, but we're hoping we can deliver an upset. And, we'll do everything we can, I'm sure. Ian, as I said, and Carl will have the lads prepared. The lads will be thoroughly up for it, and I hope it's going to be a great occasion, both for the town and for the club and for everybody involved. So, exciting times. Our gates open at 9:30 this morning. Kick off at 12, so we're looking forward to a great occasion.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Listen, Jeff, thanks so much for coming on today. Get the Monte Cristo on ice and good luck.
Thank you very much indeed.
Jeff, good luck. Yeah, great.
It's Jeff Thompson there with us on Weekend Breakfast. The South Shields chair, they're in action today in the FA Cup first round. That's one of 4 games. We'll keep you posted on them all here on Game Day Live on talkSPORT. Cass, what are you up to today?
I'm going to go and watch my boy play football this morning.
Nice.
At 10 o'clock. And then I'm going to watch West Ham versus Newcastle. And then obviously the later one, we got City Bournemouth. So
I'm going to get stuck right in about the Old Firm derby.
Yes.
I'm going to give the iPads to the kids. Judge me all you want. And hopefully get a walk in before that Sunday roast. It's going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to today, and some good cup games up there as well. Like I said,
and obviously we'll listen to Nelly in between that. Yeah. Happy birthday, big guy. He's 51. Guy looks incredible. I need his skincare and I need more Botox. Cass, I'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you later, man.
Have yourself a wonderful Sunday, and the Sunday edition is on the way next. Enjoy.